p.m. in the p.m. It's happy Thursday. Thirsty Thursday for some people. That's the way it used to be for me back in the day. Mav sucking down a rum and coke, giant one, getting lit because he's got big storms coming in, and he's a scaredy cat. So, but that's how we're starting this off. Pong and Mav in the p.m. Thursday, March the 2nd, 2023. And guess what, folks? Unbelievable. We were actually close to being on time. For me and Mav, that's been a big deal lately. We have not been able to do this for a while, but excited to be here. What a week of news. A little disappointment. I ain't gonna lie. No Starfield showcase announcement. Hit me in the feels a little bit this week. And my gaming's been affected by it a little bit. I'll get into that when it's my turn. I'm on a weird roll, man. I'm on a real weird roll. Anyways, hope everybody's doing good. We already got like over 50 people jumping in here.
Yeah.
Listen, all of you beautiful people, thank you for being here. I stole Steele's line. Yes, he calls everybody beautiful people, but I got to do it because I do mean it. Y'all are looking fantastic, even though I can't see you. Your names look great. Your comments look phenomenal, and we're happy to see you jumping in with myself and Mav. And speaking of Mav, again, I was not joking about the storms headed his way. They'll probably be hitting him in about an hour or so. So if we magically disappear, or if Mav has to go into a closet somewhere, that's what's going to happen. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that gets none of it. Maybe it just breaks up right before him. The gaming gods look down and say, nope, PM and the PM is on. We're breaking up these storms. They're not going to hit Mav tonight. That's what I'm hoping for. But my co-host, the owner of Fun Speculation Network, president, CEO, chairman as well, the one, the only, Fun Speculation, aka Mav, brother, besides the storms about to knock you guys. What's going on, man? How you been?
Not bad, man. It's been busy again as usual, but I have had a little bit more time to play some games lately. We do have these massive storms about to hit in like an hour or so. Possibly hail. There's possibly tornado warnings and straight like 70 to 80 mile straight line winds. Are also all part of that too. So it's going to be interesting here over the next 2 to 3 hours or so. About maybe middle of the show is when we're supposed to get hit. If the sirens go off and stuff like that, it means that there's rotation right above us. I may have to go run downstairs, get my daughter into cover or whatever, and I'll leave the show running and let Pong talk for a little while. We'll see how long that lasts. But
run my own show.
Yeah, maybe you guys can see the house like get destroyed from a tornado, like live on a camera.
That'd be the worst PM in the PMer. And actually, if you guys were all safe, it'd also be pretty epic to have that on freaking video too.
Yeah.
So
if we were all safe, yeah, let's hope.
Yeah, if you're all safe.
It also still sucked to have to deal with that.
Well, yeah, no, I'd feel awful, but again, we'd line up the super chats right away. We'd start the funds going, right? We get the fundraiser going.
I think
speculation.
There might become the show could become viral after that. If that actually,
I think it actually probably would. You'd probably be on local news, national news.
Yeah.
Oh, and I didn't get prepped for something like that tonight, so I'm not looking my best tonight.
Oh no,
I might have to go change.
Great, man.
I might have to go change. I might have to put on a coat, button-up shirt, just so this looks professional. If that happens.
But we're back to gaming though. I have been playing some more Midnight Suns.
Nice.
I keep
congratulations
doing like a couple missions here and there and a couple missions here and there.
It's a perfect game for that.
It's so good. I love it.
Yep. More and more people are starting to find it too, which is
and
it's been on sale a lot.
It deserves a huge audience. And other than that, man, just random games hopping in here and there, doing this and that, and that's about it, man. Nice. Is that the dogs getting ornery there?
Somebody rang the doorbell, for Christ's sake, of course.
Yeah. That's okay.
This
it can
Cammy down by me, she goes tearing upstairs, busting through the door. And Molly's already up there barking.
Yeah.
So whatever. That's all you've been doing? Midnight Suns?
Midnight Sun. I mean, I played a little bit else. I tried that Sudden Strike game today. The one that was in Games with Gold.
Oh, Sudden Strike 4.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
The game seems really cool. That one, the controls are a little wonky for RTS so far. Not just like pick up and easily figure it out. But so I got to go back and maybe do I didn't hop into tutorial or anything. I tried to
That's weird.
I went straight into skirmish mode, right? You know?
Great. That's great, Mav. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what you should
So I
do
need to
on any
go.
RTS strategy game.
I know. I need to go back and start there. But I was impressed with a lot of what I saw in it.
Yes.
So,
Yes. It
um,
is. It is a great
so
game.
besides that, also let's see what else I've been playing. Dude, I don't know. I have to go back and actually like see what I've played. I think the most thing is recently is just Midnight Suns for the most part.
Good for you, man. Good
Yeah.
for you. Locked in.
And aged
Locked
with
in.
you guys last week.
Yeah. We did do some age too, so which is great. Yeah, but definitely for Sudden Strike 4, for anybody who doesn't take a look at the games with gold at all, take a look at this week's that Truebrook game 2 or whatever it's called. I forget what the name. The other one is that indie title. If you're into slower paced puzzle games, Indie Gamer says that's an awesome game as well. I have yet to play it, but I did download it. But the one that Mav was talking about, if you're looking for a World War II RTS strategy game, go download Sudden Strike 4.
Yeah.
Even if you're not going to play it right now, it is the complete collection. It is actually a rarer title if you try to pick it up used physical. It is actually one of the rarer ones out there, and you'll wind up paying 20-30 bucks for it on a regular, especially for the complete edition. So go pick that up and just download it and have it in your library for future. It is a great game. It's very good. Is it the best ever? No, of course not. It's not the best ever. But as far as strategy games goes, it's really fun. And again, if you're World War II buff like me, you can find enjoyment in any of those. But that is definitely a value title this week in Games with Gold, or this month, I should say, in Games with Gold. Yeah, myself, like I said, it's been really weird. And I was trying to figure out what's going on with me, and I think that my Starfield itch has gotten to the point that's affecting my gaming at this point. I think that I'm looking forward to Starfield so much that I can't stay, like, I'm a grazer already. So really I don't stay focused. But like, I put like 40 hours into Hogwarts the first, week it was out. So those games are few and far between as it is. But normally with all these new games like Atomic Heart and stuff like that, that's what I'm rocking out on. But I've been going back. Like, my grazing habits have got me going back. Over the weekend, I posted a little bit of video and some screenshots of freaking Tron Evolution from 360. I went back to that game and started playing around with that. I forgot I even had it. I must have picked it up gold at some point. I think it was in gold at one point. So I started playing Tron Evolution. Let me tell you something. I made the post about it on Twitter because I don't care. I'm not one of those people that cares what other people think when I post old games. Mm-hmm. God damn, Disney, would you do something with this IP? And I know there's a new Tron game coming out, but it's a story narrative driven game. I'm talking about a Hogwarts style action RPG with the Tron IP. It's, again, Tron Evolution is empty. Like, there's not a whole lot going on. But it is still beautiful in places because the Tron aesthetic is timeless, right? The neon on the blacks, it's like timeless, and it looks fantastic. Something nowadays on current gen hardware, I can only imagine what that would look like in our action RPG form. And this game's actually kind of fun. I never really played it. I was like, I think I loaded it up and there was actually a save file still there, shockingly enough, but I was still like partway through the tutorial. So I'd never really dove into this game. I played for like 3-4 hours straight last weekend. I had a fun time. Like, is it good? Is it like great? No, of course not. It's not great. It never was that kind of reviewed game. But was it capable? Yeah, it was capable, and it was Tron, so that was cool. So I got back into Tron Revolution. And I'm like, okay. Sorry, yeah, I did rock out some more Shadow Warrior 3 as well. I am moving forward in that game, loving that game. I got through a big boss. The difficulty is definitely ramping up as I go, and I'm not playing on anything but normal, but it's still ramping up, and it'll take me a couple times to get through a boss. So I finally beat a pretty big boss in Shadow Warrior 3. So having a great time with Shadow Warrior 3. Again, if you're a Doom fan, if you're just looking for something light Doom, more linear, fast-paced, go go download Shadow Warrior 3. Again, it's in Game Pass. It's well worth it. It's a fun game. I wouldn't say it's up there with number 2. Number 2 is probably still my favorite at this point, but it is really good and it's high quality. Um, and, and then let's see what else. I picked up King's Bounty 2 on sale. So I've been rocking out on that a little bit. Never got a current day patch. That's another RPG, but it's a tile-based, turn-based, hexagon turn-based, I should say, battle system with classic RPG tropes. It's fun. It came out last year, I want to say. Last year came out. It's on sale for like $8. I picked it up. So I've been playing that. And then here comes the weirdness, Mav. Here comes the weirdness.
Okay.
If Tron Evolution wasn't weird enough, right? And I know why, because it was part of the Game Pass, rewards this week. Mass Effect Andromeda. I had a thought in my head to re-download the trilogy, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna re-download the remaster, right? I was gonna re-download it and start rocking out on some Mass Effect again. Again, this is where my itch for Starfield is starting to take over a little bit. I have this thing now. Space futuristic.
I'm like that sometimes too. You get such a itch for something that you start playing like shittier versions of that, in the meantime to like get you up to get
correct.
You up to
That's a lot of it, right? So I was gonna re-download the trilogy, which I probably should have done, but instead the Xbox rewards popped up this week, and there's rewards for killing. It says 75 enemies, but you only got killed 25 for 250 points. And I always do all my rewards. So I started playing it on the cloud. Well, again, now I'm playing on the cloud, and then I start to get those feels. And again, I don't look at Andromeda as a Mass Effect game. Yeah, it's got the name over it. But if you approach Andromeda as a high-end AA RPG, sci-fi RPG, it's a good game, right? It's not a Mass Effect game to me, and everything is like a swap meet version of the original Mass Effect. Even the characters, it's stupid. Okay, like I'm like, every time I play this game, I'm like, okay, I'm like, now I remember why it got so much better, and I've such bad ratings, and so many people say, oh no, it's better, you gotta go back, that's a bad memory, go back and play it now, it's really good. The characters suck, man. The characters suck. Okay, they just do. But again, because I don't consider Mass Effect, I just play it as like a AA high-end RPG that's got a ton of sci-fi to it, like really good sci-fi to it. I enjoy myself. So I wound up actually stopping while I was playing on the cloud and just re-downloading Andromeda. And I fired up Andromeda again. So I've been rocking out on Andromeda. Again, I never beat the game. I had played through it quite a bit on PS4, but never beat it. Because it was just bad. But now at this point, now that I'm craving Starfield so much and I want some sci-fi in my life, Mass Effect's kind of just filling that hole right now. So pause. So that's where I'm at. That's my weird week. Again, I'm in this weird grazing mode, even more so than normal right now, but I don't mind it. Yes, I've got Midnight Suns to go back to. Yes, of course, Hogwarts Legacy is sitting there staring at me. But every time I look at him, I'm like, I don't feel it right now. I want to go play something else, you know?
Fair.
So it's just one of those, and I'm not in like a rut. It's not like I'm in a rut. It's not like I look at all my games and go, I don't want to play gaming. I don't want to game right now. That's not the case. Like I want to game, but it's just not hitting the right notes for me. Atomic Heart does a little bit. Of course, we did play some Age 2, and I did do a couple more runs by myself to keep me, to help make sure that I'm not rusty the next time we play Age, because I was really far behind compared to normal last time. So I don't want that to happen. Love Age. Age 2 Definitive Edition. Again, if you're an RTS player, if you haven't hopped into this game, even if you don't have Game Pass, this is worth the buy. They did such a fantastic job with this game. Every time me, Mav, Jasper, Psycho, it's so much fun. It is so much fun.
Man,
I even have
it
fun
melts
single player.
The time though.
Oh,
it is one of those games. Like our matches will last like an hour and a half or so, and it's like that felt like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Because you're just constantly making decisions, doing something, right? Like I think I left we were playing last time on Age, and I left and went downstairs and got some got some food and like take it up, and I just left in the middle of the game, and I was like, came up 15 minutes later, the game's
Yep.
still going on.
Yep.
Not really much is different than when I left. Like it's easy just to pick back up, like
Right.
it's okay, fine. It's so cool though to have a game where you can do that 4 versus 4 against the
Yes.
computer. I mean, I love stuff like that, man.
No, it's awesome, and it's also nice to have somebody like Jasper, who can
carry us.
protect.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I have a certain build that I like to do. You have a certain build you like to do. Jasper's build is very fast, and he knows what he's doing with those troops. And so when you've got somebody who's highly skilled in that specific area and can kind of not only pester the enemy, but also come help you defend if you're in trouble while you're trying to get to the spot where your favorite troops are, right? Where you can start producing your favorite troops. That does help. Like normally in a normally competitive match, there's no way to be able to pull off what we pull off because you have to have quick builds. But Jasper's an expert in that area. So it's really fun playing with him because he can hold things together while all the rest of us start really building up. And Psycho does his thing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Psycho.
Psycho. Usually the leader in technology.
Yeah.
And
Markets?
not so much and not so much with the military size.
Yeah, the military side. We love Psycho. We're trying to help him get there, but it is pretty funny when you look at the stats at the end of the match, and I think our militaries were in the thousands, and Psycho had what, like 80?
81. Yeah, it was like
it was amazing.
3,500, like 5,000, and then like 81.
81.
It's like, great job, buddy. Doing great.
Oh, we love Psycho, man. He's so much fun in those, though. Psycho, where are you at? I'm getting things built. Just need a little bit more time. Or he's the one that gets attacked first.
Yeah, that sucks when you're the one that gets picked on early on constantly.
Yes.
But it happens sometimes.
It does. So so that's what we've been doing this week so far. But let me shout out the chat here because we've already got over 100 people. Again, the growth in the Fun Speculation Network has been absolutely unbelievable to watch over the past couple years, Mav. Just hit 2,900 subscribers. Have you hit 3,000 yet?
Not yet. We're at 2,920 something last.
2,920.
Yeah, we hit 2,900. I think on was it yesterday? No, Tuesday. Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. So appreciate everybody.
Absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, the support for what Mav's got going on here, and the support for all the channels, the growth that's been here since the current gen started has been something to watch. Every channel that's been putting out quality work has been growing immensely, from the old school guys to the new school guys, right? And I consider us newer because Mav started his channel a couple years ago. 3 years ago now, right? Almost.
It'll be 3 years in August. So
yeah. So we're
2.5.
2.5. Yeah. Which is insane how fast time is. I started thinking about that. I was like, I started podcasting a year ago, and then I started thinking about. I'm like, oh no, it's been over 2 years now since I actually jumped into podcasting.
It still feels like we're the new guys around.
Yeah, we're like the new guys, right? But yeah, Mav's channel growth has been incredible, and you guys showing up on this show, which was a newer show to Mav's network, has been nothing short of stellar, right? So thank you all for being here. Let's see who I got in the chat tonight. I got OCD Gamer is in here. Manscaped, he says. We're going to get to a Manscaped here in just a minute. Harry Ballsack. What's going on, Harry? Dusty, thanks for joining us. Why so serious? Always in the house. Why so serious? Polly Baba is in here. What's going on, Polly? Good to see you, brother. Micah Ford, of course, dropping in here. Great Micah Ford. Tony Grasso is in the house. Caitlin, the beautiful Caitlin, who did an absolutely, as always, but tonight, chef's kiss on that thumbnail, girl.
That was a
chef's
request special.
That was my request. And it was almost to a T what I had in my head. So you were reading my mind. Thank you very much, Caitlin. Erodimus, what's going on, Erodimus? Poison Maniac, great supporter, always retweeting and tweeting out. Thank you very much for being in here. Calorie, CalRay, what's going on, CalRay? Great to have you in here. God Emperor SofaKing, what's going down? Dr. Funkenstein, Sanchez, MTZ Game Man. What's going on, Sanchez? Great to have you in here. Dusty, just plain old Dusty. I like it. Dusty, what's going on? Great to have you a part of our chat. Ray Oid is in the house. What's going on, Ray? What Just Happened is in here. Look at all these members, man. God dang, man. Ardhi M, what's going down? OrangeRhino, great to have you in here, Orange. Who else? Nighturnal, what's going on? Masshole 1977, of course. ShaneG is rocking out with PM in the PM tonight as well. And we got the great, crazy Louie. Of course, he's underneath Xbox International Podcast. Great show. Go check those guys out. Please, Sour Blow Gaming, Silent Cypher. Gotta go check them out. Xbox International. Go check them out. Great. Jigga J, what's going on, Jigga? Good to see you, brother. And of course, it wouldn't be a show without Black Car Day showing up in here in the chat. Talos Re, what's going on? Great to have you in here. Froggy T White, I see you. We got Corita. I'm going to butcher your name, and I apologize. I'm going to try it, though. So, again, if I butcher it, I apologize. But we got Corid Ogunremi. That's what I'm going to go with. If I butchered it, I apologize. But thank you for being here. Very much so. And making me work a little bit on these names tonight. Who do we got? Shinomori's in the house. What's going on, Shinomori? We got Rabadon is in the house. Rabadon, great to see you. BigMADMoe is in here. Big Mad, what's going on, man? Great to have you a part of PM in the PM. Charlie Hustle is in the house. RSJ fan, always great to see you, my friend. We got Xbox BG showing up in here as well. Who else we got? We got Soul Khan in the house. What's going on, Soul? Let's see here. Snooky Jackson, what's going on, Snooky? Great to see you dropping on in here and saying hi. Nix, of course, brother Nix is in here as well. The one, the only, the aforementioned lore master Jasper has dropped on in here. He's probably playing some games while he listens to us right now. Who else? UK Lad is in the house, brother. Great to have you here. Who else? Ellis Murderman Foster. What's going on, Ellis Murderman Foster? I like it a lot. That middle name is perfect. Fragula 74. Raid Zephyr. Great to have you joining us this evening as well. The Beer Baron, of course, dropping on in here. I hope it brought some for everybody. Beer Baron. RazorNZ, all the way from New Zealand. Always checking us out. Andrew Cullinane. What's going on, Andrew? General Spartan 27 dropping in to say hi. Appreciate you, General. Raiden Blade, of course, is in the house as well. Isaac Gentry, what's going on? Alvin! Man, we got all the classics in here tonight. As always, appreciate every single one. Oh, RWK88 is in here. We got Ghost Fixter in the house. Who else? Did I miss anybody else? I went all the way to the top.
A lot of people, man. A lot of awesome people.
Wilfrey Rosario, Monster 530. I see y'all dropping in here to say hi. Again, if you are in here listening to us now live, or if you're going to listen to us in the future on your favorite podcasting rewatch, I don't care where it's at. Love you. And thank you for being a part of PM and PM. And both me and Mav mean that from the bottom of our hearts. Absolutely. We really do. Again, that's why we started this. Got so many awesome people in this community.
Got a couple huge shout outs too as well, because Calorie re-upped his membership as speculators.
Calorie,
shout out to Calorie for doing that. Xbox International Podcast used his free message for being a member for 13 months. Says if the deal goes through, Sony should get Take-Two. Oh my gosh, Louis. Yeah. If they can, why not? I don't think they can though. I think it's a little bit above their pay grade. We'll see. Shout out to Louis. Micah Ford. Yo, Micah is one of the kings of the gifteds in this community. A huge supporter since early on this channel. I absolutely appreciate you, Micah Ford, hitting us up with 10 gifted Fun Speculation memberships out to the community.
Subscription Santa Claus. That's what we're gonna call Micah.
Dude, he is amazing with that stuff.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
A lot of those,
Micah.
You, Micah.
And we also have another new member, Isaac Gentry. Thanks for welcome to the Speculators, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Micah. You're absolutely amazing, dude. All right. So what do we got on the agenda?
Well, we got a lot on the
Oh,
agenda.
should we get the
Yeah,
Manscaped out of the way real quick?
get the promotion.
Well, I mean,
people
when I
that
say
pay the bills.
when I say get the Manscaped out of the way, I'm not gonna like Manscape right now. I meant like get that ad read. I mean, I can.
It might increase sales.
You think so?
I'm just saying.
Or it might decrease them potentially. I don't know. What do you think?
Over under.
Over under.
I think it becomes a net positive.
A net positive.
Net positive.
Okay.
Because we will go viral.
That's true.
There would be clips of it everywhere.
So
it's like the new hot tub. Let's go. Manscaped live.
Bam, bam, bam. Everybody, this is a public service announcement. Manscaped now has beard products and is going even further with their brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead and tell the word the leaders in below the waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 and their new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for your hygiene toolbox. Time for you to upgrade your game by going to manscaped.com and using our code FUNSPECULATION for 20% off plus free shipping. I like that one. So Weed Whacker 2.0, I have to admit, is a very handy little tool. And Beard Hedger is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love that thing. If you want to check out the Manscaped products, it helps the channel. It helps you as well, as Ponxel has said many times recently.
Yes.
If you do want to get that, guess what? You get 20% off using our code FUNSPECULATION plus free shipping. So go to manscaped.com, use that code FUNSPECULATION, and reap your rewards. Let's go. All right.
Get out there and do it. It is well worth it. High quality products. Again, don't say that just to say it. I'm never that dude who promotes something I don't like, ever. I won't. I don't care. You would see me sit here in silence. I wouldn't bash it, but I would just sit here in silence as Mav does his read. But every single time, I gotta say, some of the highest quality men's products I've ever had the pleasure of using. And again, that's from the packaging on down. And it sounds stupid, but again, go look at women's products and how they get packaged versus men's products. They think we're just a bunch of apes and we don't give a shit. Well, guess what? When you open up a Manscaped product, you know why they are so popular now. You understand how much time and effort they put into it, the thought behind it. And again, you can dismiss it as a guy and say, whatever, it cuts my freaking hair. What else do I care? Listen, it does make it a little extra special. And it does show you why you spent the money on Manscaped in the first place. It is that extra attention to detail that not a lot of companies go out and do. So again, go check out these products. Well worth it. Everybody's got to groom at some point. Again, it's an investment.
A lot of us were looking like cavemen during the pandemic and stuff. We started shaving.
Correct. Yeah, we didn't have to then because again, it was only our family that saw us, right? That was it.
Yeah.
The close family. That's it. So none of us gave a shit.
Yeah.
Now we do care. So again, go check out the products. Great products. Use that code FUNSPECULATION. Get your percentage off and thank us later because it is absolutely amazing. So, yeah. So anyways, we got a $10 super chat. Did you get that one already?
I have not read it. You want to read it?
Yeah, I got a $10 super chat from Alvin. What's going on, Alvin? Always dropping on here, man. Thank you. Notice the Diablo trailer today has an animated Xbox logo on the Xbox version. Nothing special for the PS version. It has begun. Pre-ordered just cuz I need the beta a week early. Help me.
This is already the first step to avoid parody once that we acquire Blizzard. That we won't have the same parody on the title screens. So the PlayStation fans that want your special title screen, sorry, that's an Xbox exclusive.
I'm sure it's because Xbox does have the marketing rights. So they did a little something special for Xbox. And again, make no mistake about it, Activision Blizzard has a great relationship with Microsoft. And now, obviously, it's even closer because of what's happening. But at the same time, the marketing rights, they probably just gave a little special push for the Xbox version, being that they do have the marketing rights. But it is pretty cool. I did see that title. Yeah. Congratulations, Alvin, on pre-ordering it. I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to pre-order it. I really wanted the Starfield launch date before I decide because Starfield's out and it's coming out in June. I don't know how much Diablo I'm going to play, but you know what? I'm probably going to wind up pre-ordering it as well because I do want to get into the beta. They are, if you hit level 20 in the beta, and again, your progress will carry over from the beta, the early beta. So if you do pre-order and you get in the early beta weekend, which is March the 17th, right, Mav? I think March 17th.
I think
yes.
So. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, March 17th. That's the early beta that you get to get into if you pre-order it. You don't have to pre-order the Ultimate Edition. If you pre-order regular edition, you still get in. But that though the level cap is 20, you will carry that over from that early beta weekend into the second weekend, which is the following weekend, and that one is open. So even if you don't pre-order the game, you can go in the second weekend and play Diablo 4. So highly recommend it. I'm going to be there even if I don't pre-order and I just hop in for the open weekend. I am obviously going to check this out. Diablo is my second most wanted title this year behind Starfield. So I can't wait. It looks like they're doing phenomenal work over there. So, all right, Mav. So
you know what else is Xbox exclusive that is interesting?
Starfield.
Besides that, that's the obvious one that people forgot about.
They didn't forget.
I think I don't know. They
just got reminded by Phil again. So
they all have dementia, I think. Destiny 2 Lightfall dynamic background is exclusive to Xbox. That's
right. How did that happen?
Because PlayStation doesn't have dynamic backgrounds and Xbox does.
Oh, so, is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. And Destiny 2, which is now a Sony-owned game, had a dynamic background on the Xbox Series X now. Yeah, PS5 doesn't have dynamic backgrounds for some reason.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
really?
It's weird. Yeah, they went backwards.
Okay.
They needed to take the resources to support the haptic and the controllers, I guess.
Well, maybe it's probably pretty true. So, interesting. Okay. That's cool though. That is a cool little note, by the way. All right, Maps. Let's get into the big stuff right out the gate because you got these storms coming in. We don't know. Anything could happen at any moment.
So 10 minutes, my power could be out.
Right. So let's get the big stuff out of the way here. So let's start with, of course, let's get into the ABK stuff because this obviously was a huge thing this week. It kept growing. Like it started out the week. We started getting like CMA came out with their kind of a summary, you could say, of some of their responses and that kind of stuff earlier this week. And of course, Microsoft is now there. Phil was at the CMA this week talking about remedies as well. Last week, it was the EC over in the EU when we got all that news. We got the Brad Smith presser that got everybody fired up. We got the Lulu tweets. We got all that stuff last week. It seems like it's crazy. It seems like time frame wise, but here we are this week. So we started off the week. We got a little rumblings. We got some stuff. There were some early articles this week, Matt, saying, don't know if this is going to be enough. It's not kind of sounding not good, right? Blah, 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 blah. Well, then we got word pretty much starting late yesterday into today that everything's going swimmingly with the EC. It's so it seems. Now, again, these are reports. Reuters, Bloomberg, your typical business journals are out here claiming that they've talked to people with knowledge of the situation. You know how this goes, right? So again, take it with a grain of salt. All this stuff, a lot of this is people's feelings, and we don't know anything until we hear the decision. But overall, the energy around this deal has significantly changed over a past couple of days. And that is due to the fact that Microsoft this week came out, Mav, and supposedly it was actually today, I think this news broke, that they are willing to pay for a third party to monitor their dealings with Activision, Blizzard, and King. And all the remedies, because you guys got to remember, now we're going back a little ways when this all kind of started, right? We started hearing about the concerns. One of the concerns from the EC and from the CMA was, oh yeah, that's great. You can tell us whatever you want to. You can sign all the deals you want to, contracts, but upholding those things, well, that's a whole different story. It's very hard to do, and it costs us a lot of resources to try to monitor that stuff, and we're not really interested in that. So you got to pay attention to that early stuff, because now, as we've been seeing Microsoft take pieces off the board with the NVIDIA deal, with the Nintendo deal, man, if they took off one more by saying, you know what, guys? So be it. We're Microsoft. We'll go hire a third party, probably a judge out of your jurisdiction. And we will allow this third party to monitor this deal for you. And we're going to pay them. So it's not going to come out of your pocket. It's not going to cost you any resources. It's going to be a neutral party. And he can be the one that sounds the alarm if we do something wrong. So don't worry about it. We got it covered. And it seems like, Mav, this was enough for the EC, because now it came out that they aren't looking for structural remedies anymore, supposedly. Supposedly they're happy with the NVIDIA deal, the Nintendo deal. That took the concerns, like we thought it would, off the table. Now they've added this next step saying, we're going to pay for our own referee, but he's going to be on your side. We're just going to pay for this guy to watch us, or this gal to watch us, whoever it turns out to be. Matt, what'd you think about when you heard the news dropping today? We had a lot of talk, a lot of articles coming out saying things are looking up. It does seem like the EC is just a matter of time before they approve it. Again, it will be April 25th for the EC, I think is the deadline, I want to say, or is it 27th? One of them is the 25th and one is the 27th, I think.
Yeah, it's like a day or two apart from each other.
Yeah, a day or two apart, because the other one got pushed out. CMA got pushed. They asked for EC asked for another extension, or no, CMA asked for their final extension, got granted. Now they're both within a couple days. So, Mav, you're hearing all this stuff come out today, one by one. Microsoft is out here knocking pieces off the table, putting Sony in a corner. What'd you think about this news here?
I thought that was pretty impressive, man, for them to again put things in place to nullify the concerns with stuff that we talked about a long time ago they could possibly do, right? The sirens are going off right now,
Okay.
just so you know, but I think it's just straight line wins right now. So,
okay. All right. Just let me know if
it's
you
just
gotta
a straight, it's just a straight.
they're just 80-mile-per-hour straight line wins.
It's just 80-mile-an-hour winds about to slam us. But yeah, they are going off right now. So like, do we need to?
Let me know if you gotta go.
No, I think we're okay right now, because I'm looking at it and it's just straight line wins right now.
Okay. All right.
But anyway, yeah. So there is the third party company kind of should nullify the concerns about Microsoft not living up to or holding up their promises, which they've also claimed. We have a good track record of holding up to our promises anyway, which they do. Right? With the regulators and all these kind of things. So that being said, they've already gotten the EC, it looks like, on board, right? Yes. It's seeming like that's going to pass. It's seeming like they said that they're going to be okay without divesting assets, and if those reports are accurate anyway. So if they're okay without divesting assets, and they're okay with doing whatever these remedies potentially are, it seems like they're kind of negotiating on that right now. Hence why that extension was granted. Also leading up to the CMA, it seems kind of like there's a lot of discussion between the CMA, the EC, and Microsoft all together right now.
Which was the original plan. Remember, we used to talk about that. Microsoft wanted to do this kind of all at one time.
They kind of wanted to make sure what's going to work for everybody, right? So it seems like the CMA is kind of like the last little hinge-pin here. And whatever they agree to, they're probably presenting to the CMA. And this is probably back and forth, because I don't want to just like leave it up to the CMA to just randomly make a different decision at the end of this. So they're in talks with all of them to figure it out, and I think it's looking really good right now, to be honest with you. Our confidence meter's been high all along with this. But for right now, what's coming out of this is seemingly more and more positive. Once the CMA left the door open for remedies outside of structural
behavioral remedies.
Yeah, when they opened it for behavioral, this is what people were talking about. So Microsoft has to put forth a presentation, the concessions, the remedies, the third party company that said they're willing to hire that, all these kind of things, to say, here it is on the table. Let me know what you think, right? And it seems like right now the EC is seeming okay for the most part with it. I'm sure there's some negotiation over languages and terms and all these kind of different aspects to that, right? But once they come to an agreement there, it's probably something that the CMA is also okay with.
Right.
I would think that, because I couldn't imagine they're just dealing only with the EC and then just pass it off to the CMA and just, oh, here we go, let's cross our fingers. You know what I mean? It could,
Right.
who knows? It could be that. I just don't see that being the case, because the seemingly like the CMA is the one they really got to worry about. So I think everything they're doing with the EC is for that lead up to the CMA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
And
does.
the
And
FTC doesn't even matter.
no, we're gonna get to them in a second,
Yeah.
because that's where the juicy shit gets, right? But no, you're spot on, Mav. And again, this is something we talked about from the beginning. If you listen to Microsoft flat out was planning it this way, and now you've seen what's kind of funny, Mav, is that it started out where it was like, okay, Microsoft really would like to get this all wrapped up at one time, but you had the EC with different dates, you had the CMA with different dates, you had them not aligned as far as the process goes. But as we've gotten further along, and as Microsoft has continued to show these regulatory bodies over there, at least, that they mean business, that they're not messing around, that this isn't just all talk, that they're going to do what's necessary to make everybody feel comfortable here. All of a sudden, the EC and the CMA, like you said, Mav, has started to align themselves date-wise and kind of go ahead and give Microsoft the ability to present these remedies at the same time, so that there's not a hang up. So they don't just go present remedies to EC all at one shot and the EC is happy. But then, like you said, Mav, they turn around and CMA is like, those are worthless. We're not going to do this.
Yeah.
And then they start from scratch again. That's exactly what Microsoft didn't want. Are you leaving?
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
All right. So, all right. Sounds good. So that's the great part, chat, is that we've seen kind of this whole thing transition from being kind of fractured in a lot of ways. Everybody kind of doing their own thing. The EC, the CMA, the FTC. And again, the FTC, we don't even really care about. And we'll save the juicy stuff. Oh, you're good? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. I was going to say that's quick. All right. But we've seen this fractured thing. But then Microsoft is, again, we're talking about $1 million attorneys here. We're talking about Brad Smith, one of the coolest cucumbers in the fridge. They've lined this up perfectly. And as they've made people, the EC and the CMA, feel more comfortable about this deal, the EC and the CMA kind of given way to Microsoft and allowed them to kind of organize this in a much more structured fashion, which shows to me that these regulatory bodies are listening. These regulatory bodies are responding in a positive manner to Microsoft. Just because these are regulatory bodies doesn't mean they don't take on the emotions of the humans that make them up, right?
Yeah.
And you know for a fact that if people weren't hearing Microsoft, that they're like, yeah, you're all bullshit. We ain't listening to this. You guys are going to foreclose this entire industry. If they had that stance, they wouldn't be allowing Microsoft to dictate the way they are. They would not be changing dates. There would be no reason for extensions. None of that would have come up. They would have been like, nah, we make our decision. You guys presented. We don't believe you. We're going to make our decision. We're going to shut this thing down. So I think that in itself shows an extreme change in attitude from both of them. Now, the CMA is a little bit more wild, a little bit more, you don't know what to expect from them because they are different now that they're not a part of the EU. They're trying to make their own stamp on this, and you could still hear it in some of their language. However, the CMA was a part of a group of regulatory bodies that were talking over there today, not specifically about Activision Blizzard, not about that, just in general, the kind of where regulation is in all industries, kind of overview. They're kind of talking about where the world is from a regulation standpoint. And so one of the CMA heads was there, and the first words out of her mouth were, literally, the first words out of her mouth when she started her speech were, "We are not against mergers." That was the first words out of her mouth. So, again, you could say, well, that means nothing because they weren't talking about ABK. True, but she's making a statement. And these people don't make statements in these kind of forums without it having meaning behind it and without indicating some things about what their thought process currently is. And obviously, the biggest deal on the table in front of them right now, by far, I don't care what industry you're going to be talking about. I don't care if there's a secret deal we don't know about they're looking at. I'm sure nothing surpasses the ABK deal in terms of size, sheer numbers, right? So, again, just little hints here and there, Matt, that this is slowly, the tide's kind of turning for
Yeah.
Microsoft, which is good news,
Oh,
right?
I mean, to be honest with you, though, like, I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of the doubt about it before from people, like, we've been highly confident this whole time, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
but we've seen a lot of people like, come on, like, don't think it's going to go through, whatever. And it's mainly just been because of how loud the CMA has been on Twitter with when they release their like next phase type statements, right? Or like block, emojis and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And then all of a sudden everybody's like reacting like crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
back then we said, well, this is kind of not a bad thing because we're making it all about Call of Duty, right?
Right.
The thing is, from the point on like the tide turning, right? It seems like this is everything to this point has been what Microsoft has for the most part expected, right?
Mhm.
They've said originally, right, that they expected this deal to close into fiscal year 2023. That's like June something, right? So if you do the math on where that is, the lead up to that is still around that time. They always expected phase 2, right? Which is what we got, which is why people freaked out when things went into phase 2, right? They expected regulatory processes. They expected this. They expected that. They've been working on this, and they probably already had an idea of what they were going to do for concessions wise and remedies and all these things when they decided to make the offer to acquire ABK. You can imagine all these meetings went into place because they hit all these roadblocks and obstacles ahead of time, right?
Correct.
Like they had the 10-year deals talking about that early on, right? They started talking about we're going to put these games in more places, this and that, all these different things. The entire time has been leading up to the point where now they are considering the remedies. They are considering these concessions for the first time, right? And that's where we're seeing the positivity come, because this is what Microsoft has expected all along, is that it would lead to this point, and that's when they have the discussions. And it's seeming like right now it's positive talk, right? The FTC was probably always going to do this just because of who's running that clown show right now, right?
Correct.
And no matter what they say, it doesn't really matter, because Microsoft had come out and said that they were going to close regardless of the process, because the FTC is just trying to drag it out to get them to lose the deal, right? So they went ahead and said, we'll close it. We expect you to sue us. Other companies have done this as well, called their bluff, right? It's part of their process right now. So FTC is really no concern. The only thing left is EC and CMA, and there's finally positive conversations coming out from there right now. So we'll still see at the end of the day what happens with the CMA. Like, it's not 100% by any means, you know what I mean? But like, I feel like we're a lot closer to the finish line, right? We're starting to see where all the negativity had lasted for so long because it was all that phase 1 to phase 2 conversations. Now we're at the deal making phase, right? To this. So this is where you're starting to see the negotiations, the talking, the back and forth and stuff. And now you're starting to see, well, okay, I guess these people that said, no, they won't ever allow anything like this to happen, are actually potentially going to allow something like this to happen because they've answered all the questions. The other thing is, in getting NVIDIA on their side really helped this, I think, right? Also being willing to include other people with it as well. I feel like it checks a lot of the things for them. And I'm guessing that hearing that they had went really positively for the EC.
Yes.
The one that they had, was it last week?
Yes.
And so now we're just at this last final stages, and they have up until, we said, April 25th, 26th.
It's 25th for the EC.
So from it now until then, pretty much they're going to be in still negotiation phases for the most part. Is there a certain date where they can't negotiate anymore?
Yeah, the final remedies are all due, I think, sometime this month. And then it's up to the regulatory bodies have the rest of the time to put together their final findings and then make their final decision.
I would
So
assume whatever that negotiation would happen would be like, okay, if we're allowing this, are you going to like probably
yeah,
approve it? I mean, I can't speak to how it works, but I would assume that they have to get feedback on those.
right.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
like otherwise that'd be ridiculous. So we'll see what happens at the end of the day, but I'm still really confident about it. But we
yeah.
do have the
So
good
am I.
news coming out as well from Microsoft. As shitty as the FTC's been with this whole thing with the clown show over there right now,
Yeah,
we still got some interesting things
we
because of the
did.
FTC, right?
We did. And that was our thumbnail tonight. Sony's finding out. So what happens? So as we all know, the FTC's got this locked up underneath their own jurisdiction right now. They did not move to go to the federal courts as of yet. As Mav alluded to when he was speaking, that's the next step for Microsoft after, if they get approval from the EC and the CMA, they're just going to close over the top. And then leave the ball in FTC's court and say, go ahead, sue us, take us in. Because again, as we've said here, the FTC's case is so pointless, non-existent compared to our laws. They have lost now 7 times. If you count the give up that Lena just gave up on against Meta, they don't have a case. And Microsoft's attorneys know this. They know that there's not going to be a federal judge who does rule against it. And if they do find the needle in the haystack judge that does rule against Microsoft in this, Microsoft will continue to take this all the way up, because if it has to go to the Supreme Court, Microsoft ain't going to lose, okay? Because again, the laws are not written how the FTC want them to be written. And the FTC, as much as Lena believes herself to be some kind of law-changing goddess, that's not how it works here in the United States. She doesn't get to do that. And so they're confident. But what happened this week is, if you guys remember, part of this process is in the United States courts, because this is actually in a court. It's the FTC's court right now, but still an official court. They have a judge that's overseeing it. Microsoft gets to do, everybody a part of this gets to do discovery. And discovery, well, that's why you don't see libel suits, people. Just a little side note, why you don't see a whole lot of libel suits, because if you claim libel against somebody, that opens up your entire personal life to discovery, and people can make requests. Attorneys can make requests to see all of your emails, to see all of your text messages, to see your computers, to see your hard drives, to see everything. And most people don't want their private information out. Well, that doesn't change with businesses, folks. So when they went to the FTC, when the FTC initially brought this internally to the court, Microsoft said, look, we're prepping. We figure you guys will sue us. We're planning on closing over the top if the EC and CMA approve. We figure this will go to court, so we're going to start discovery here, and we're going to introduce evidence that we believe is going to be used in the future to kind of knock all this stuff out of the way. And the judge was like, yeah, totally understand. Yeah, absolutely. Let's start the process. Good. Part of that was Microsoft and the FTC, but Microsoft is the more important one, subpoenaed Sony and was asking for reams of documents. We're talking about Sony claims it's going to cost them $2 million to do this. So, of course, Sony's attorneys were like, yeah, no, you guys don't get to access our internal reviews of our upper management. You don't get the access to those. Yeah, you don't get access to those. Oh, you want these emails from one of our CEOs in Japan? Yeah, no, we're not going to give those to you because it's going to be in a Japanese language, and it's going to make things really hard for us to find exactly what you want because they got to be translated. Oh, you want all of our deals with third parties going back to 2012? Yeah, no, because we've got like 150,000 partners and there's no organized structure. It's across different servers, and there's no way we could potentially find you all of those deals that we've done with third parties. So, of course, they were over the top dramatic with all this stuff, right? But that's what attorneys get paid to do. They're there to block this. Again, just like a private person, Sony doesn't want Microsoft to have access to any potentially information from inside corporate. That's No, we already know we as gamers can't even get goddamn screenshots. Okay, we can't even get screenshots from games that have been in production for 5 years. But you think Sony wants Microsoft going through emails, going through contracts? No, they don't want that at all. So they fought this, Matt. They fought this. And so we finally got a ruling yesterday. This is when things blew up yesterday. It absolutely flew off the handle because there was no official announcement, but the FTC dropped the actual subpoena with all the requests, and then how the judge ruled on each one of those requests. They actually made those documents public yesterday randomly at, like, I don't know what time. When did I start posting? Like 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something like that?
Mhm.
Some random time. And they're on public forum. It's a government website through the FTC's website. So they became acceptable. I'm not going to read through them because, again, it's actually not that long. But again, it's a lot of legal ease, jargon. Again, neither myself nor Mav are Hogue, so I'm not going to be able to break it down to you that way. So I'll use Ido Sloth, who did a nice breakdown too, and then we'll talk about it because both me and Mav did look through them and we understand them pretty well. So the FTC denied Sony's motion and ordered the company to produce documents requested by Microsoft subpoena. Motion is granted in part and denied in part. Sony only needs to show their exclusivity deals from January 1st, 2019 to present. Judge Chappelle has denied the documents request of Sony's performance reviews. The subpoena will cover third-party exclusivity deals, internal emails from Jim Ryan, and financial information. Now, there's been some other experts, quote unquote, people who do understand this stuff, jump in, saying that overall, this is a huge W for Microsoft. That yes, the scope was limited. Yes, they don't get those internal performance reviews, but that was always going to be an uphill battle. I think when Mav and I first talked about it, we talked about that as well, that was, I understood why they wanted them. Like, I could see the reasoning, but again, overall, I didn't think the judge was going to look at it that way, because again, it's getting a little dicey when you're asking for personnel files on your competitors. But so that got denied as well. But they do get all the third-party exclusivity deals, licensing agreements from January 1st, 2019 to present. They do get internal communications from not only Jim Ryan, but some of the Japanese CEOs, some of the other higher ups within Sony. The judge refused to grant Sony any exclusions from any of the people that were requested for internal documents, communications, email-wise, right? So Microsoft overall, this is a big, big win for them. Let me see if I missed anything else. Yeah, the quash documents. Yeah, no. So that was pretty much, that's a good summary of it. Mav, nobody goes in to this, especially if you're Sony, and you're not the one suing Microsoft, right? You're just getting behind the regulatory bodies and talking a whole lot of shit to them about Microsoft, right? You're just like, nah, this ain't good. This ain't good. Oh, you want our opinion? Yeah, this ain't gonna happen, because if you pull Call of Duty, they pull Call of Duty from us, we're dead. Okay, we're done. Okay,
Can't fund our own games anymore.
We can't find our own games with a Call of Duty, man. Okay, listen. So Sony, it's the regulatory bodies that are fighting against Microsoft. Make no mistake. Obviously, the stooge in all this is Sony, because they're the main complainant in all this, saying, no, this can't happen. So of course, they're all using Sony's information as the main basis for a lot of their arguments against Microsoft and Xbox. But when you start this whole process, and Jim is out here flying all over the world, getting frequent flyer miles, talking everybody's ears off, shaking hands, whatever he's doing, passing money, passing PlayStation 5, passing PSVR 2s, whatever he's been doing, in the back of his skull, right? He's probably not thinking about initially, well, if the FTC goes and they do this and they go internally, we're going to have to go to discovery, and then we're going to have all of our documents exposed. Like, that's not going to be your main thought. I'm sure his attorneys probably had thought that out. But at the same point, you never think, even as like a person, you don't think it's ever going to get to that point, or you don't think that that's really going to happen. And obviously their attorneys fought against it, thinking they actually had, some points on their side to block this. But now Sony's effed around, Mav, and now they're finding out. And are you leaving me? You must be leaving.
2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. So let me continue my point then, and we'll get Mav when he gets back. So Sony effed around here, folks. And we already know that, again, this is something I've talked about. This is something I've, described as opening up Pandora's box through this entire process. Sony might regret ever going scorched earth on this deal. Like, I understand this deal is important. Like I said, from day one, I said, I don't blame Jim Ryan for doing exactly what he's doing here. If I was in Jim's, shoes and I was the head of PlayStation, and obviously I had Sony Corp going, Jim, you got to get this thing blocked. This is going to be bad for us. And I'm looking at my numbers going, yeah, this is going to be really bad for us. Again, all's fair in love and war. And this is business, which is war in a lot of ways. So yeah, you're going to run around. You're going to do what's necessary. If you've got to kick people in the balls, you're going to kick people in the balls. You're going to do whatever you need to do. You're not caring about what, guys like me and Mav think, or what, your own fans think about how you look. They're not going to care about any of that stuff. You're protecting your business. You're protecting your number one spot. You're going to do what's necessary. But there are consequences that come with those tactics. And again, this is an industry that has been highly insulated from regulatory bodies. Regulatory bodies haven't paid attention to the video game industry the same way that they've paid attention to a lot of industries. We had like one time that I can remember where we got a lot of scrutiny, and that was when they were doing the whole ratings thing way back in the day, 90s, right? When they decided that they needed to implement ratings because Mortal Kombat had pixelated blood and you pull the spine out of a dude's body, right? So that freaked governments out, and they decided that they needed ratings. So that was the last time this industry really has been put underneath the microscope. But Sony, and obviously they were going to get put underneath the microscope here because it's a $70 billion deal. Microsoft wasn't going to be able to walk in and, acquire Activision Blizzard for $70 billion without the regulatory bodies going, hey, hold on. We got to take a look at this. This is a little extreme, Microsoft. Let's take a look at this. No, they were still going to do that. But when you got Sony behind the scenes, yapping in their ears constantly, starts talking about starts talking about secrets of the industry, even though a lot of it was Sony's perspective and lies, right? Or falsehoods, or being a little dramatic. That's going to cause the regulatory bodies to go, wait, what's going on? Whoa. Phase 2. We need to look at this thing. Phase 2. Give us phase 2 right now. We need to look at this thing. Microsoft, come here. We need all your docs. And we know Microsoft's turned over, I think it's something like 2 million docs or 3 million docs. Some ridiculous
This is too
amount.
much. We can't process this.
Right. Microsoft's like, yeah, here you go. Here's all our docs. We don't give a shit. We've been prepping for this. Go right ahead. Take a look. But that's going to cause extra scrutiny. And that, in turn, means that now Sony has put the spotlight on themselves. They put the spotlight on their partners who did not want to be a part of this. That's why you got Tencent out here like, yeah, no, get this thing through. You got Take-Two. You got Strauss out here going, we got no problems. We got zero issues. This is great. Nobody wants the government bodies up in this business except for Sony because they're trying to protect their own hide. That opens up Pandora's box, Mav. They effed around and they found out because now they are court ordered. And the only way they get out of this is if the FTC drops their case. Because again, this isn't Sony's case. So Sony can't go, oh, no. We agreed to the deal. Give us the 10 years, Microsoft. We're good. Give us 10 years. FTC, we're good now. We're good. Just let it go through. If Sony does that, that doesn't mean the FTC backs down from their case. And this is their case. So those documents are still going to be relative to the arguments that the FTC made because they built in a lot of Sony's arguments into their case. So Microsoft is still going to have access to those documents if FTC continues to pursue this. Mav, fuck around and find out. Again, it's one of the viral gifts that have now done its rounds. It's it's one of the few ones that do go viral where I don't get sick of because I think it's absolutely
It's
hilarious.
hilarious.
The dude in the GIF is absolutely freaking. They've got a couple guys, but the one dude with the dude that looks like Mag is freaking hilarious. It cracks me up. So, but there has never been a more appropriate meme or GIF, I think, for this whole entire ABK thing than that one now. What do you think, brother, about all this?
And again, like out of the whole shit show of the FTC thing, what's going on there with like just the regulators and the whole commission is just screwed up right now. But besides that, like, this is the one thing that's just absolutely hilarious. And it's like you would have to assume that Sony would have assumed something like this would happen. But at the same time, like,
you don't.
I don't. Maybe they thought the judge would side with them, right?
Correct.
And that's the only thing I'm wondering, like, because if you're Sony, all the hypocrisy that you've been shoveling out there for years, of especially with the ABK deal and all of their complaints against Microsoft, right? But all the hypocrisy that's coming out from them, all the ways that they talk to the fan base and do something else, right, as well. Because with these documents, you could see potentially what their roadmap is.
Oh yeah,
like what their plans are, their whole business model that they want to take, like their whole subscription plans. I mean, who knows what's all going to be revealed. So they can come out and they can claim all this stuff, right? But turn around and have to actually back it up with your own internal documents, which, as if you're been in the gaming for a while, if you followed gaming news for a long time, if you've been following all this stuff, you understand how Sony's gotten to the position they are. It's just not in the quality first party games. It's in the marketing rights and the exclusive things within these games. It's in the exclusive games taken away from other platforms via their contracts, right? And they're coming out here proclaiming that they're worried Microsoft might do that if they acquire ABK. They're out there proclaiming that we might not have parity on our games if Microsoft might acquire this studio, while going out and making exclusive deals for games, third party, big titles like Final Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Part 1, Part 2, Part Forever, however many parts there is, 3 parts probably. While getting all this stuff.
Let me read this list real quick.
Yeah.
Now. Speaking of, somebody put together a list of potential titles that would be included from 2019. Now, again, it's all going to depend when the deals were signed, right? When the exclusivity deals were signed, they could have been signed before. But this is the potential list, just looking at what we know right now. And shout out to Psychonauts for dropping this back in the DMs again. I did see this the other day, but I did forget to drop it in ours. So thank you, Psycho. Appreciate you, brother. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Final Fantasy 16, Deathloop deal, Ghostwire Tokyo, which they would already have access to because obviously they own ZeniMax now. Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo, Granblue Fantasy Versus, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, Hogwarts Legacy exclusive quest, Call of Duty exclusive DLC, which again, they probably have access to because Activision ain't hiding that. Sifu timed exclusive, Guilty Gear Strive, Death Stranding, Catherine Full Body, God Eater 3, Judgment was timed exclusive for a while. Earth Defense Force, Iron Rain, Spelunky 2, Shenmue 3, Medieval, Left Alive, Zenki Zero, Last Beginning, Godfall, which was a timed exclusive, Street Fighter 5, Champion Edition, Marvel Iron Man VR, the Neo Collection, Predator Hunting Grounds, the Pathless, and Demon Souls Remake. And Project Athea, which is now Stellar Blade, which we do know for a fact was being made for Xbox and is no longer coming to Xbox as of this moment. So that's just a potential list. Sorry, man, I just wanted to get
Yeah, no, you're fine. So you're going to see those deals, right?
Right.
Potentially.
Yep.
And you also may see deals for other games that haven't even been announced yet. Other games that are in the works from third-party companies. One, I don't know if you said the Knights of the Old Republic. Was that in there?
No. I did not see that in there. That
was announced as an exclusive, right? Yes, so that's a pretty damn big one as well, right?
If they have a deal with Konami for Metal Gear Solid remake,
That would add
which
up.
is
What
a
about
rumor coming
Silent?
this
What
year,
about Silent Hill?
Silent Hill as well.
Another
Yep,
big
that would
one.
Yep.
Like, I mean, we're talking about
Yes.
big games here, right? It's not just
Yes.
like it's, and no offense to like some of these games that Xbox has gotten with exclusivity and stuff like that, but like
Correct.
usually
Correct.
the studios and the deals that Microsoft's worked with to fund their development of their game or allowed a huge cash income to these developers so that way they can even make the game, right? I mean, you're talking about games like Stalker 2 and things like that maybe these things wouldn't even exist without the funding, right, from where as you have like Final Fantasy 16, that game is going to come out regardless, like if they took money from Sony or not. You know what I mean? It's just they took the best deal that was on the table for them, I think. Microsoft decided they don't want to compete in that way as far as buying exclusivity from big third-party games. They've been public about that numerous times.
Real quick, sorry. Thank you, One Punch Jedi, for the correction. Thank you so much. My brain's working too fast. Project Athea was Forspoken. Project Eve was Stellar Blade. So yeah,
both
that's
of those
the
count still.
Right? Yeah, both of those count. But thank you. Appreciate that correction.
So all of these things like are gonna be disclosed now, right? So I put out there like, how do you think the third party companies that have made these deals feel about these contracts potentially getting exposed?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they like that?
No.
People on Twitter are saying like they shouldn't. They probably don't care because they made the deal, right? But I'm thinking they made the deal, but they're not with the regards of their dealings being exposed to potentially the public
you think
or
Capcom
the
was happy
commissioners.
when you think Capcom was happy during the Epic versus V Apple when their documents came out?
Yeah,
no.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
and they were not even a part of anything with that deal. So like Sony wasn't even a part of that deal at all, right? And they still got drawn into it. And that document came out. That's why you don't want to open yourself up to this.
Right. So the only saving grace here for Sony would be, in my opinion, is if the deal somehow they didn't end up having to show those documents, right? So the only way that would happen in that case is if the FTC drops the case, which I don't think they're going to do. Unless they have so much immense pressure from the CMA, the EC, and they're the last one standing because they know they have a losing case, but that's what they've done all along, right? Mm-hmm. Except for Amazon and MGM, they decided not to sue that, right? And they went ahead and closed. So eventually they could drop it, right? Mm-hmm. Microsoft closes on the deal. They decide not to go federal or whatever because they know they're going to lose again. And this one would be the biggest embarrassment out of all the other ones probably for them, I think, because it's the most public. But the only hope for Sony now is if FTC does actually drops the case and actually makes the deal with Microsoft or agrees to the concessions that Microsoft has offered to the CMA and the EC, which Microsoft, again, previously, when they said they were going to go ahead and close, they said they would offer the remedies that they come to agreements with those other regulators, right? So at that point, it's whatever those remedies are. Does the FTC accept that? And if I'm Sony now, I'm feeling a little bit less likely to keep challenging this thing, right? Because at that point, you have to weigh a bunch of risk. Okay, are your third-party partners, publishers, how do they feel about all these documents getting exposed, right? How does our corporate, how do us as a company feel like dragging our name potentially through the mud here with all of these documents having to come out and exposing all of these deals that we've made? Potentially also being stuff could come out that, Sony's done things one way and said things another several times to the fans. What if these documents show that their whole plan and all these different things have been kind of misleading to the fan base, right?
Consumers.
Exactly.
That's what the regulatory bodies are there for, supposedly.
100%. And then if you look at it, if those get exposed and those all the way make it through, what kind of potential attention does that bring onto Sony from other regulators where they've been making a case against Microsoft, right? Now, all of a sudden, these other regulators and maybe territories in which there may be a class action lawsuit against for raising prices in their market, and like the UK, come at them and say, well, you've been claiming that Microsoft might abuse a dominant market share position. But remember all those documents that were made public because of this whole case, right? Well, it looks like you may have been abusing your dominant market share position in the console market. Remember, the CMA didn't include Nintendo in there. So in that scenario, it's Sony versus Microsoft, right? Because that's the CMA, how they dictated that. So it's interesting to see what could potentially come of this whole thing. Like I said, at the end of the day, the FTC thing doesn't matter. Microsoft would win if it goes all the way through to the end. They're going to close before it gets to that point anyway. And it just comes down to the CMA and the EC. But I really hope we get to see those documents one way or another, man. I really do. I just want to see the juice. I want to see the contracts. I'm sure there may be some redacted stuff, right?
Oh, there's going to be a lot of redaction.
Yeah.
If something doesn't leak accidentally, which is exactly what happened in
Yeah.
Epic v. Apple, documents leaked unredacted accidentally. And that's always a risk in these things. The more people that have their hands on the documents, the more chances there are of leaks happening, right?
And if it gets this point to the actual to the court, like it could be public, like here, the actual in the court, like public.
Sony has to fight to keep them sealed,
right?
And it's a big threshold to seal documents. More than likely, they would be released redacted to some degree, but chances are in this type of case, unless Sony really has a strong reason, they probably will be public, or some of them will be public. And Mav, the other thing is not just the contracts. My point when I saw that they were going to allow them to get emails, not only from Jim, but also from Japan.
Yeah. Does it show like conversational emails between third-party partners as well?
Big scope.
I mean, that could be damning stuff there, right?
Even I know some of it was communication with the FTC. They want to see that as well in there too. But again, when you go into something like this, you don't when you're just communicating, and everybody in big corporate offices is still communicating a lot through email. Sure, there's other functions. Sure, there's other chat functions and stuff companies use, but most things are done through email. And I see Jim as an email guy. And you don't ever expect when you're writing emails that someday your main competitor is going to have access to your emails. So you say things in a very plain manner in emails that to your, other CEO, your corporate office, to your Sony higher up, you're saying things in a very plain manner, not holding back. And that's where things could get really interesting, is how deep the emails go, how many they get. Again, Sony has to process them. There's mistakes made. Sometimes emails slip through. They get we don't know what could be in there. That's what makes this fascinating, folks, is because we don't know. Maybe we never hear a peep. Maybe we never get any kind of look into this. But this is another opportunity where we may get a peek into it. But at the end of the day, Microsoft, their attorneys, Phil, Satya, they're going to have access to those emails, okay? They're going to see things. And no matter how, legalese, these can only be used here in the court, and you can't, that doesn't matter. That information is going to be there, okay, when they get done with this case. And like Mav said, there could be things that allude to future deals that we have no idea about yet. There could be roadmap stuff in there. There could be something about where they're going with cloud gaming or their subscription service in there. They could start seeing all of a sudden Sony's got lined up over the next couple, for the next couple of years, because these deals were signed between 2019 and now. They could see that Sony's got lined up a bunch of deals for PlayStation Plus, right? All that information could be exposed to Microsoft. This is not what you want. This is why Sony's attorneys fought against this. This is not a voluntary thing like, oh yeah, we got nothing to hide. Come on in, Microsoft. We'll show you the books. No, they don't want that at all. But again, this is what happens. These are consequences when you make yourself the loudest, the squeakiest wheel. You may get greased because you're the squeakiest wheel, right? You may be, but you're going to get a whole lot of attention paid to you. And some of those eyes might not be people that are looking out for your best interests or trying to fix you. They might be looking for a weak spot to knock you off.
Yeah. And and it seems right now that Sony has remained the last and only challenger to this, because it's come out that Google's claims were pretty much just dismissed and laughed at.
Like I said, the worst partner you could ever ask for.
There was the reports that they pretty much just dismissed and Google's because they thought it was ridiculous, right? They said it holds no merit or
Google's
no value.
Getting sued in basically in every country at this point.
And it's like they just well, Google said this. Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay,
yeah.
So
like I said, it's like having the mafia boss go up there and as one of your character witnesses on the stand. Yeah. That's not who you want up there.
I'm making an offer you can't refuse.
Oh, Mav's a great guy. As somebody who's killed a lot of people, Mav's a great guy. That's not who you want up there.
Just give it to me in perpetuity. Perpetuity is all I want. You see, everything's gonna be okay. Don't make me send Slim Jimmy over there to get you. Perpetuity.
Slim Jimmy, Jesus.
Perpetuity. That's all I want, man. Let's go. I this is absolutely. I think it's getting closer to be a slam dunk. I mean, I don't know. Like the CMA wild card could be crazy, but besides that, and I just at the end of the day, at this point, I want it to go all the way with the FTC through the federal because I think Microsoft wins that anyway. Because I just want to see those. I want to see it. 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 I want to see it so we can show these people that have always been these defenders of the business and all. At the end of the day, it is business, right? It's business, right?
Nick's made that point again, as I've always said. Nobody's putting a gun to the publishers' heads to do these deals.
Yeah, exactly.
Sony might be bullying with their 150 million people, but that's a part of business. When you come from a strength of position, you have the advantage. That's what's going to happen.
Where it becomes funny, where I have the issue with it is them coming out and accusing Microsoft of potentially doing this. Same thing that they've been doing.
It's projection. It's classic projection.
It's projection plus also it's hypocrisy, right? Like they're not allowed to do the same thing that we've been doing to get where we're at.
Yep.
And I feel like cards are going to be on the table and they're going to expose the playbook, right? Mm-hmm. Well, this is the dominant market share playbook here, the exclusivity agreement playbook, the third party agreement playbook, the muscle man playbook that, hey, we're using our weight to make sure you treat us preferential. Right. And that's completely what these regulators are supposed to be against. Mm-hmm. Right. Because when these deals are made in favor of things due to size of company, as opposed to fair market, that's what dominant market share position is. And that's what the regulators don't want. Right. So if you're Sony, I feel like it's not a good look if who knows what's there. Maybe it's all innocent, right? Yeah. Maybe it's like, oh, hey, we'd like to put your game on our platform and, how much would it cost? And they're like, oh, this little talk says, okay, well, let's just sign that check. Oh, and let's get that game over here on PlayStation. And the guys are like, hey, it's Sony, don't worry. We won't put it anywhere else. Like, okay, cool. So that's good. No, it ain't going to be that. But like who?
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to say never, so I'm just throwing it out there. Like, who knows?
Of course. We don't.
But we're all going to assume it's the things are written like that Capcom leak.
Like I said, there's a reason. There's a reason why Sony doesn't want Microsoft to have access. There's a reason. Like again, this is business. It ain't all on the up and up behind the scenes. That's not how business works, especially big business, $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion business. It's not all on the up and up. Even on Microsoft's side, I'm sure there was things in their documents, even though they were prepped and ready to provide. I'm sure there was things in those documents that Microsoft didn't want to show at times. I'm sure there was some things that probably led to some of the questions that the regulatory bodies had, because that's how it works. I mean, again, that's business. But at the end of the day, like you said, Mav, it's the comeback, and this is something that we've been talking about since it started, when Sony really started getting loud about this, is now that the attention from the regulatory bodies is on this industry. Now that they have a better base knowledge about what goes on in this industry, I don't want them. I hate regulation. I hate big government. And this industry is so dynamic right now. It's still in such a growth phase. Again, I always bring it up, but Strauss's interview, 20 plus more years of growth, according to Strauss, who is an extremely intelligent man when it comes to this stuff. Obviously, the head of 2K. You don't want regulatory bodies coming in and starting to clamp down. That's not good for us as consumers either. You want a dynamic industry that's constantly changing, that's constantly promoting competition, that makes companies like Sony defend their position and maybe even lose their position because it makes them better at the end of the day, which is better for us as consumers. So I don't want this. But now that Sony's brought this down, and it's not Sony, again, Microsoft and Xbox, they were going to get scrutinized for this deal. The regulatory bodies were going to, cover this thing. But now that Sony's made such a fuss, after this is all said and done, if there is information out there, or if things did get exposed about Sony's business dealings that aren't necessarily consumer friendly, these regulatory bodies are now going to say, hey, Sony, come on back. We got some more questions for you. Because what we saw isn't copacetic with what we're supposed to be doing here for the consumers. So we have some more questions for you. And then you start getting into maybe the regulatory bodies start looking at exclusivity deals and about what that actually means. Not just acquisition kind of exclusivity, but actual timed exclusivity or full exclusivity with third parties. Is that the best for the consumer? And maybe they start questioning those tactics that have been around forever. But we're now in 2023, and Sony has brought a extra spotlight to this. Yeah. So,
and they made the case too about a title being that important.
Correct.
Without that, the exclusivity doesn't matter. It's been a part of gaming for forever. But they're the ones making the case that it does.
Right.
The exclusivity kings are making the case that exclusivity matters and is detrimental to their business.
Yes.
Right? So without them making that argument in that case, nobody else had a problem. That's why none of the other big players here were like, no, we're good, because they want to be able to do their own deals, right?
Absolutely.
Like if Sony's calling foul on something, raising the flag, well, we can't survive without this third, which is the weakest thing ever, right? I mean, we said this from the get-go. What a weak argument. What a weak case, because it makes you look weak. I heard on Last Stand Media the other day, they're talking about how weak Microsoft is looking because they're claiming the 80-20 thing. Well, first off, that was because they themselves, the regulators, had excluded Nintendo out of the equation, right? So
still a fact.
So they put the facts out there. It's just saying what it is, right? And that because they're focusing on the console hardware market, right?
Right.
So in that regard, yeah, Sony's been killing Microsoft for years and years, right? Sony's been the one that's making all these exclusive deals, right? With all these different games, all these different companies. They're the ones that called foul on it. They're the ones that raised the flag saying, you can't do this. Nobody else was on board with that. Like the Amazons of the world and the places like this, because they, even Google wasn't saying that, because what if they want to get back into gaming, need to get some stuff, right?
Right.
Making a case that one game not being on your platform could destroy your company when it's not even in your control,
right,
is the worst case to try and make if you're a gaming company looking to try and raise up your platform, because guess what? That could come back to bite your ass. I thought that was stupid from Sony in the get-go. It may have worked with regulators because it's the only thing they had at the time. At the end of the day, I don't think it's going to work, right? But using this is setting up a bad image for what that means. So it's a detriment to their own case down the line, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, when they actually show these exclusivity agreements with language specifying not able to release on Xbox, and you're talking about games that are massive like Final Fantasy 16, especially in the Japanese market, where they have such a small market share,
4%.
or you talk about places in the UK, like it even gets more extreme, right? So they can't make that argument and pretend like it's okay later, right? But that's why they tried to treat Call of Duty like it's a special, unique thing. Mm-hmm. Well, it's just unique because it's Call of Duty. Well, if you let me, this is something why you don't run a gaming business that way. If your only existence as a company able to survive is predicated on a property that you do not even own,
third party,
then you're weak.
Yeah,
because they have no control. ABK could do a deal with somebody else down the line. They could take money from anybody. They could shut down. Like, who knows what could happen? So they're according to what their argument was, They're resting their hopes and dreams of the future of their company and the strength of their company on something they don't even own.
Correct.
That is not a very smart decision
No.
as a business, right? Period.
No.
So, especially in the gaming business. Now, it's worked so much so far because the argument is bullshit. Because they just do, if they lose one, they just do deals with the others. Like, look at Hogwarts Legacy. They got marketing rights on that. It's selling like crazy on PlayStation. So the point is their argument absolutely is one of the most ridiculous things I've seen from any company out there, and trying to make themselves look so fragile that they can't even compete and market without marketing rights to Call of Duty.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
It exposed them because there is a grain of truth to what they're saying, Mav, because they are reliant on third parties, and we've talked about that too. That was their business model when they decided to focus almost exclusively on third party on AAA narrative driven, over the shoulder, $100 million plus blockbuster movie like games. When they decided to make that their focus, they put themselves in this box. We talked about this. They let a lot of franchises fall to the wayside to make this happen, and it worked for them. Again, take nothing away from what they did. They found a system. It works. Nintendo found a system. It works for them. However, unlike Nintendo, Sony is still, to a bigger degree than they probably should be, reliant on those third-party deals,
I agree.
especially a Call of Duty, to help offset what they don't make.
Because they have an exclusive game problem on first party right now.
Yes, because your exclusive games, again, we talked about this as it's so funny how we've been doing this. Again, just as gamers who've been doing this for a long time and paying attention to the news, how spot on we can all be sometimes. And again, this goes for the chat too. If you've got really good, educated, consumer educated positions, educated consumer positions, like Steele says, ECP. If you've got that in you, you don't have to be a professional analyst or a professional journalist, as we've definitely seen.
Or
you don't have to be or a pundit. You don't have to be somebody within the industry to pick up on general ideas and have a good frame of reference to make good points. And Mav and I have been doing this. We do this on all our shows for a long time, for a couple of years now. But Sony, again, the exclusives give your platform identity.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Exclusives
big commercials for your brand.
Big commercials. They are important to a degree, right? They are. There's no taking away from that. And I understand Phil's position and whatever. Again, if I was Phil, I'd be a totally different dude. I'm not like Phil. Phil has a position. He believes in it. Maybe someday that turns out to be true. Maybe everybody turns into a third-party publisher, as we've talked about in the digital age. Whatever. Exclusivity does right now, in this day and age, give your brand an identity, okay? And they can be ultra important, like a Spider-Man, like a God of War. They can drive some sales. But you know what never changes, Matt? Ever, ever, ever. Your bread and butter will always be third party. Always. Call of Duty, Madden. That's what makes you go from a 20, 30, 40, $50 million or 50 million player ecosystem to 100 million ecosystem. Again, Nintendo notwithstanding, Nintendo's different. For Sony, Microsoft, that's how it's always been. When Microsoft lost, or gave up, I should say, because they just didn't want to spend the money, the Call of Duty marketing rights, it cost them. It cost them big. Because as soon as Sony got those Call of Duty marketing rights, on top of capitalizing on the Xbox One, the mistakes that were made by Donnie D, they had the Call of Duty rights, and then Donnie D screws up the Xbox One launch. Sony was in the perfect position because when people started looking at what system they were going to buy out the gate last generation, there was a ton of people, including myself, who decided Sony first, even though I was all in on 360 generation. Yes, I own the PS3. Yes, I enjoyed the PS3. I was all in on Xbox. I was ready for the Xbox One. People switched because they knew Call of Duty by that point had started to get that, hey, it's on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Hey, this has got the marketing rights. Hey, you're gonna get map packs early. Hey, you're gonna do that.
The map packs was a big deal back then. Getting the maps
Right.
early.
Maps early, because it wasn't like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
It was like months or a year at some points. And so that just made you switch, not you, Mav, but I'm just saying in general, made you switch. But then your friends were like, well, we're playing Call of Duty this year. Oh, we're playing on Sony. Oh, okay. So I got to go get a PlayStation this time around. Okay. Well, I only play Call of Duty and Madden every year. So, hey, I don't care what console I get, PlayStation. And guess what? PlayStation 4 became one of the best selling consoles of all time.
Yeah.
On top of
it is huge. And Destiny was a big part of that too, right?
Destiny was another one. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. They marketed that thing like it was exclusive.
Yeah, and that was Bungie's next game after Halo. You know what I mean? That was a big deal, right? And they rode that too. A lot of people went to PlayStation because of that. And the thing is, like, that's fine, right? For the most part. But if you say that one of those specifically is all that your business runs on, basically, it's a bunch of horseshit. Right?
It is a bunch of horseshit.
Because
like I said,
there's
always a grain of truth.
There's always the next thing, right?
Yes.
When Call of Duty started like that stuff 20 years ago, Fortnite didn't exist, right?
Correct.
Like, you know, there's tons of games out there that actually make more money than Call of Duty now.
Sure.
And
I'd like to see what Sony's making off Genshin Impact. They got Genshin Impact.
I'd
love to see what they're making.
Freaking Roblox.
Yeah, Roblox,
right?
Which Xbox has, right?
Yeah, and you know how many players play Minecraft? I mean, it's not a third party, obviously, but it's on multiple platforms. Yeah, it's on all these different platforms.
Yeah, Phil talked about that.
I wonder how much money PlayStation makes off of Minecraft.
Right.
A lot, right? I mean, there's so many games that make a crap ton of money, right?
But they're all third party to Sony.
Yeah. And Sony's first party doesn't make them actually. They've got to sell a crap ton of copies to get a return. Yeah. Right. And otherwise, it's brand recognition. We got the games. We got the exclusives. It's marketing, right? Marketing. They don't have games. We have games. Check this out. Yeah, we're gonna maybe lose a shit ton of money on this, or we'll fund this game, or do a deal with Square that's gonna flop, or whatever. But them having that marketing about, hey, this is the place to get those games. That's what's worked for them to sell the platform so well, and all that kind of stuff. But you can't claim that it's one.
No,
that's all that matters, right? And Xbox did get away from that, and it hurt them, right? Yeah. They used to have tons of third-party exclusives.
Yeah.
Mass Effect, that's true. And even before that, as well, the Xbox was really capable of running things way better than the PS2, right?
They were doing things different.
Splinter Cell, Mass Effect. I mean, you can just go down a list. There's a shit ton of them back in the day, right? But at some point, after the Tomb Raider, right? Yep. After that big Tomb Raider deal, Microsoft switched, and they actually said this publicly, that we would rather invest in the brands that we own, right? And I think that kind of went more hand in hand with Game Pass, right? Like, once they started this Game Pass train, and then they started acquiring studios to make more games of properties that they own, then it kind of a switch flipped there, because that way they don't worry about whatever's going to happen. They have control over the IP, because they've been burned a lot in the past. Microsoft has. They've seen the downside of relying on third party and then having it flip or disappear, right?
Right.
And that's to a mass degree, because what happened with the 2003 thing, they lost a lot of games. People stopped making as many games for Xbox and stuff like that. So they've seen the downside of that impact. And I think they doubled down on the whole thing. Now in a game for Microsoft with the deal is, hey, it's still going to come out at most places, right? If we're making a deal for a third party, but it's going to be in Game Pass day one, like games like Wo Long, like Atomic Heart, right?
Correct.
And it's interesting to see how the model shifted so much, and I prefer that, honestly, right, over like stuff like what PlayStation does, like with Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake, and a lot of these games, because it's not really doing anything for the players at the end of the day, You're not really adding any value to anybody. You're only taking value away from people. And if people say, well, what's Xbox is doing with Starfield? They're taking it away from PlayStation. It's different when you actually own the IP and you're investing in it for the long haul future of your brand, right?
Correct.
And it's way different than somebody else making the game. You just pay for a quick fix. It's pretty much what it is. And it's a whole different model. And I think PlayStation is going to switch more to the other. I mean, that's why they invested. Hey, we're making 10 live service games. Now we have PS Plus Extra, PS Plus Premium, Extra Premium Plus, whatever the shits they're going to be making. Eventually, they're going to start getting better with that stuff, right? But right now, they're still relying on $70 box. Buy a box and pay $70 and buy this other box to put on this box, or buy this box to put on your head that has a cable connected to that box, and you can buy stuff for this box and buy stuff for that box and buy new controllers too, because you can't use the old ones. I mean, they're so relegated on this like exclusive ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
That they
Premium
want to
experience.
feel special,
Mhm.
and it's cool and all until eventually the costs maybe become too high and it's like too much investments and to keep this thing rolling, and are they meeting the return with the amount of hardware they're selling and all these things? Is the user base growing enough? Jim Ryan said it's capped out with the console market right
So that's not
now.
enough.
So
They're
they
AAA
said they're
games.
not enough. There's another spreading out, right?
Yeah.
Remember the whole thing? They're going to have potentially a PC storefront and all this kind of stuff
Yeah.
eventually too. So
Correct.
the PlayStation's changing. They're just doing it slower than Microsoft did.
Yes.
So
And that's what this is, buying time. That's what this whole thing has been about at the end of the day. Sure, they'd love to get it killed. Don't make no mistake about it, because it buys them more time. But they want to change at their own pace. And that's, again, they don't have the resources of Microsoft to flip the switch. So it's going to be naturally slower for them. But there are still things that they want to do for the next few years, that if they are losing a substantial amount of money from Call of Duty not being known as a PlayStation game the way it is, if they do lose, I think they said they did a study that said up to 20% of people would change consoles if Call of Duty was not on PlayStation. So
closer to
if they
50-50 then.
Right, exactly. That's all it would be, but it would mean an adjustment to their business model a lot quicker than they want to. But I say that's a good thing. Again, this is what
putting
drives
pressure on them to compete.
competition. Correct. And again, it forces Sony to get into an uncomfortable position. They've been comfortable for way too long. Way too long.
Yeah.
They've been able to do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it. They've been making the rules for decades. And it's time that they had a little pressure put on them to do something. Again, they're not going to go away. Okay. That's not what's going to happen here. And again, Microsoft isn't going to pull Call of Duty. They're not.
No.
They legit are going to
It would be
expand Call
such
of
a
Duty.
bad business decision.
It would be terrible. And they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. So Sony's going to be fine, but this will, if this deal goes through, put pressure on them to continue to evolve their stale ecosystem. Because again, Jim Ryan, everybody at the top, has admitted the console market is capped. It's not good enough. We can't continue to sell even 15 million AAAs, 20 million AAAs. It's not enough for how much we put into those games to be sustainable over time. So they're going to have to adjust. And this will make that happen faster. And that's going to be good for the Sony consumers. They are going to get more diversity. They're going to see Sony go out and make more deals to cover their butts. So this is going to be good for all of you who own PlayStations, because Sony is going to have to do something to keep you.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to be forced to, because again, as you've seen, or at least what we're hearing right now, the regulatory bodies, there's nobody hinting at the possibility that we talked about, Mav, that Microsoft doesn't get to put Call of Duty on Game Pass. There's no hint that they're going to have to offer this to Sony for PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
And even if they do, there's no guarantee that Sony's going to pay the money that it's going to cost to get it over there, because it is going to be substantial. So that will force Sony to do things differently. and to think outside the box and maybe get back a little bit to that old Sony that I fell in love with back in the day. A much more diverse lineup of first-party titles. Maybe they open up some new studios. Maybe they go acquire some more talent to make some different games. We know they're making games as a service right now. They have to. But maybe they go look elsewhere. Maybe they open up those old IP. Maybe that SOCOM comes back at some point. Maybe Killzone comes back at some point. Maybe MotorStorm comes back at some point. Who knows? They could be stubborn. They don't have to. But I'm saying there's a chance, there's a better chance, if this deal goes through, that Sony does look at those opportunities and say, maybe there's something we can do here. Maybe this will help us. And I think that's what I'm excited for the most out of this. Again, yes, of course, as a Game Pass subscriber, as a budget gamer, the more games I get, the more games I get to play. The more games I get in Game Pass, the more games I get to experience every year. But I don't care if it's not exclusive. Yeah. That's not a big deal to me. And again, on the other side, as Mav and I talked about many times, and most people have, the most exciting part about this whole deal is the fact that Xbox could look at some of that old IP within the catalog of Activision Blizzard and start bringing back beloved franchises, or even lesser known franchises that maybe nowadays have a better chance of success than they ever did before. That's what's most exciting. StarCraft, right? True Crime. Maybe we start getting those back. Prototype, right? Maybe Guitar Hero makes a comeback after all this time. Those are what's really exciting. And maybe it's not Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty, Call of Duty for every studio. Maybe some of those talented devs over there get to do something they want to do for a change.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about on the Xbox side.
Bit.
Exactly.
Seems like that's what they've done with most of their studios so far, right?
Yep.
We got some super chats to catch up on.
Get them.
Outbreak Gamers.
By the way, we got over 230 people in here, Mav. Seriously, this is huge.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you all. Please, if you got a moment, hit the like button. It helps the algorithm continue to push the Fun Speculation Network. If you like what you're hearing here and you got a second, share it out, please. Again, you guys have been doing a stellar job. That's why Mav has seen so much growth over here. So please continue to do that. But we appreciate all of you for joining us. We hope you're enjoying the conversations, by the way. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, we're like one topic down, 2 hours in.
This is what we do sometimes.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, I seriously appreciate everybody being here. If you do like the content here on Fun Speculation, like Pong said, hit the like button, share it out, subscribe to the channel. We got other shows too on the show Mondays and also Friday nights. So come check out some of our content. One thing you said before I read these super chats is talking about like people should want like the Microsoft to get done. And I said this on I did a stream the other day like just by myself because I was so triggered by this ridiculousness.
I saw a part of it.
The Starfield exclusive stuff, and I was like, oh my god. But like I told people then, I was like, if I were a Sony like diehard right now, like if I was a PlayStation only player, right?
Yeah,
I would be begging for this acquisition of ABK to go through. Because all it would mean for me as a PlayStation only consumer in that regard is that maybe it creates more competition to drive a better experience and better value for me as a PlayStation consumer. Right? That's why we want 2K to make football games again, because it puts pressure on Madden, right?
Yes.
Same example. The more options you have, the more competitive a market is, right? And the closer the competitors are, the more it drives them to be better, right? You can even take it to sports. You have like a super team, and if every other team in the league sucked ass, guess what? It would kind of suck, right? Yeah. So but you got 3 great teams right there. They're just trying, hard, like crazy hard. You get the best action ever right out of the games. And
the NBA back in the day in the 80s and 90s when every team had 2 superstars.
Beat the shit out of each other too. God, I mean, it was amazing, right? Yep, but now you have these like one super team and like you go into the season like nobody else really has a chance. You know what I mean? It's like it sucks ass, Like it's just better when there's more good competition, right? Like it's just the way it should be, and that goes for pretty much business in general, But let's get to these super chats right here. Appreciate Joanna Dark says the Cowboys always suck. Well, they have for a long time. I was old and I'm old enough to remember the good old days. I'll just say that. Let's see.
Thanks to the Minnesota Vikings.
Outbreak Gamer, shout out to Web Dave with a $2 super chat. Said
Dave,
Pong and Mav, great show. Think the deal get done before E3? Well, actually, yes, because the deadline for the for the EC and the CMA is April something, April 25th or something like that. And Microsoft said that they'll close with on the FTC regardless of what they say before that deadline. So
Definitely a potential. I don't know how long it takes to do that close or when they
yeah,
can officially
that's what
announce,
I don't
but
know. Like, how is the
yeah,
close? How long is the actual closing
closing
process
before they can
last?
come out
Like,
and say, "Hey, we own them."
yeah, I don't know how that works, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a business guru guy or whatever, but like, once that those April things happen, unless there's even more delays, could be, right? Then there's a potential. Maybe it takes 30 days or 60 days after that. If it takes 60, that would be outside of the window of E3,
Right.
right? If it takes 30, 45
Yeah,
days, you have a chance.
potentially.
But even then, I think it'd be like too close to E3. But we saw last time, like, you might start seeing some things once they know it's like finalized and closed, like start to happen, right? Who knows exactly? Anyway, moving on past that, Vik The CLiCK with a $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Vic. He said, "I'm late. Here's my late fee. Was in deep dive on MK Ultra, but I'm back and needing Sony to take a walk of shame."
Wait, did he say he was going down the rabbit hole of MK Ultra?
Yeah, MK Ultra. They're talking about conspiracy theories and stuff. Yeah,
not a conspiracy theory.
It's not anymore.
Confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Like a lot of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Funnily enough.
Yeah,
that's a good one, Vic. I've been down that rabbit hole many
that's crazy.
many years ago.
Mind control. Ooh.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. By the way, there's I used to listen to this podcast all the time called Bizarre States, and they had some good episodes on MK Ultra back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Also, Psychonauts, our good brother Psycho, speculator, member for 7 months, says, "I wonder what the pundits think about all this." I don't know.
We already know.
Yeah. Probably the pundits has lost all meaning to me. My new favorite word, though, pundits. It's such a fun word to say. Pundits. It sounds ridiculous in a way when you say it, pundits. But apparently, pundits think that Microsoft will sell Xbox if the deal doesn't close, according to Andy Robinson of VGC. What do you think about that, Pong? Yeah, where did he find these pundits?
Again, I don't doubt that there are pundits who honestly believe that probably have talked to Andy Robinson. Again, we've seen journalists come out and make the most ridiculous statements ever.
Yeah.
So why would they not behind the scenes say, "Hey, if this Microsoft might just give up on Xbox and sell it off." Again, Microsoft does have a history of giving up on things. Jez even broached the subject after Andy made a comment, and Jez put out a comment that's saying, "Hey, look, there is some history with Microsoft giving up on things. So it's not like completely ridiculous, but of course, in that moment,
in this moment, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to even say that after a company just turns around and says committing $70 billion to a deal, and to say that if that one deal doesn't go through, well, shit, throw it all out. It's worthless now.
We talked this in the past, like different leadership, different tactics, different philosophies. Who knows what time will tell ever with big tech and big business.
Absolutely.
Just
right now,
it was right now. The way that was used was more of like to drive conversation to contradict a direct statement from Phil Spencer, right?
Yes.
That thing triggered me like to no end because
I know.
It's just like it's so ridiculous. Like
it's just pure click.
It's just, can gaming journalists just get their shit together and be journalists these days? Like I
no
really
journalists can.
No journalists. You're right. It's
journalists.
They've a lot. It's fucking like I hate that it's invaded the gaming space so much, right?
Course,
because it used to be like I started maybe with politics and then this and that and all, and now it seems like it's driven all the way into gaming, and it's like, my God, can I just enjoy my hobby without this fucking stupid misinformation being driven about by the journalists that are out there? Because the problem is for me, like we talk about this disingenuous podcast or disingenuous creators, disingenuous people that spread information and stuff like that. And when people have relied, and especially the casual markets and all these things, like rely on gaming websites for news, or like rely on things to, and then it gets copycatted or parroted out by the other people that just are either ignorant or just want to believe whatever fits their agenda or or thinking point, right? And this stuff just spreads out. And so my point to this is the journalists that always come out and claim that they don't like toxicity, they can't stand console war fanboys, and they can't stand all this shit. You guys are creating them by making such shit arguments and posts and biased takes all the time. Like all of your articles that you're writing, for the most part, regarding ABK or regarding this or that, are coming across like you're just a complete moron, ignorant fucking douchebag that just like likes to make just write stuff for clicks, and that's all you're based about. And it's people that used to even write good stuff. It's just coming out, and the biasness is getting even more and more exposed the closer it looks like Xbox and Microsoft actually might pull off this ABK deal, right? And you claim out there, you rant and rave, oh, fan bases are horrible. Xbox fan base is bad. And PlayStation, oh, that is console wars, tribal mentality, all that shit. Well, stop feeding it with your dumbass articles that are clickbaity, hold no fucking value, and are completely fucking worthless. Just absolutely
dishonest or willfully ignorant.
Just fucking stupid like stuff. That's like, hey, there's a fucking one today.
Baldur's Gate
3. Like, gonna be bigger than Starfield. Fucking moron. Just shut up.
I love Baldur's Gate. And I love Baldur's Gate,
but you should not be fucking writing about video games and be able to complete that sentence.
But he put the keywords in the title, Mav. PlayStation 5 and Starfield.
Yeah.
He put the keywords that gets everybody fired up because and he actually said this. Baldur's Gate 3 coming to PlayStation 5. Could it be bigger than Starfield?
Yeah.
He hit all the keywords to drive engagement from all sides and get that click. And I read the article. I don't know how old the dude is, but by his picture, I would say he's a younger guy.
12.
You can tell, not that young, but you can tell. You can tell the people who have not been in gaming for a long time. He totally ignored the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 is a CRPG, turn-based, which is already niche, no matter how big it is.
He probably doesn't even know what the fuck it is, man. Like
he did. He kind of wrote about it a little bit that he kind of said that, but he totally ignored that that's a niche genre. That Divinity of Sin 2, considered one of the greatest of all time, still came nowhere near selling anything Bethesda has done.
No, not even like a fraction. I mean,
right.
And I love those games. I do. Right. I mean, I was when I saw it was like not coming to Xbox, like, oh
yes,
God, come on, like
right.
You like
both.
I love Baldur's, but I'm not dense. I'm like, it's just I just don't understand, man. Like it's this nonstop assault right now with just random articles that just are completely biased. It's just so
correct.
It gets just riled up this week. You may have been able to tell, Pong. I've been a little bit of a different creature on Twitter the last week or so. But sometimes the stuff is just like, it's just too much, right? It's like, just shut up. If you know what your mom, remember your mom's, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Now, here's the thing. If you don't have anything factual to say, don't say anything at all, right? Just stop it. Stop it. Calling you out, journalists. You suck. Okay, sorry. I'll move on.
You have more super chats?
No,
we good. Okay. All right. We absolutely crushed that one. How's the weather? You good?
Good. It's the main line is passed.
Cool.
So.
Awesome. Good to hear. Glad everybody's safe. I saw Caitlin chatting, so I know that's a good sign because I know Caitlin does not like storms. So she's chatting. She's feeling more comfortable, which is good. So I'm glad you guys are okay. All right, Matt. Well, let's hop in because we kind of talked about it a little bit in a couple different ways. Phil had another interview, right? This week as well. Phil's been everywhere. He is in Europe. He's actually visiting Ninja Theory and Hellblade 2 this week. He talked about that in this interview. He was going to take a look at where Hellblade 2 is at, which is great to see. Phil said he's getting out more. He's traveling more. He's getting back to these studios now, on top of still doing the traveling for the ABK deal, but he's kind of all putting it together. I can't imagine what his schedule is like right now. It's got to be ridiculous. But he did stop in with the Xbox crew and join them for a sit down for Xbox On. That's the program. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it. Hosted by Charlie Hodson. Super nice girl. She's got the yellow hair. You can't miss her. Like, if you've ever watched her interviews, you know exactly who she is.
Mm.
But he sat down, and I'm going to read from Windows Central here, who covered it. Zachary Body over at Windows Central covered the interview and gave us kind of a rundown of it. So, what you need to know: Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer recently sat down with Charlie Hodson from Xbox On for an extended interview. During the interview, Spencer discussed the games he's been playing as well as upcoming plans. Hodson and Spencer also talked about the ongoing Activision Blizzard acquisition and the importance of mobile gaming to Xbox. Finally, the interview ended on Spencer stating his thoughts on the potential of AI to change and improve video games. Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer isn't afraid to get in front of the camera or sit down for an interview, and he recently did that with Charlie Hodson. The interview runs for approximately 23 minutes and sees the dynamic duo discuss the present and future of Xbox and video games in general. Xbox imminent plans, Call of Duty, and the ongoing Activision Blizzard acquisition, mobile gaming, and AI video games are all topics discussed. Spencer opens the interview, which took place at Bethesda in London. Speaking of math, Bethesda in London, that's where they were, by revealing that he's been loving gaming on his Xbox Series S while traveling and utilizes the clever X screen accessory to accomplish it. Vampire Survivors, Hi-Fi Rush, and of course, Age of Empires 2. Phil is knocking out Age of Empires 2. He even said in that interview, Matt, that he was surprised by how much he's enjoying Age of Empires 2 on the console, and what a great job they did. Soon, Spencer will be visiting Ninja Theory for the very first time in order to check out the studio's progress on the highly anticipated Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and that will be the first time he actually gets to see the new studio that he paid for, Mav, including a underground bar, which is very impressive. If you're go back, I think it was 2 years ago, year and a half ago, sometime during the Pandy when they did a full walkthrough of their new studio, which is crazy. He also praised the ways in which Playground Games is helping Fable to evolve with the remake, as Spencer helped ship the original Fable back in 2004. Both these projects are still in the distant future, however. Interesting words. With Xbox having plenty of exciting announcements to make in the first half of 2023. Xbox is on an all in on building an exciting showcase for June 2023, so players shouldn't expect a bevy of major announcements before then. However, Spencer hinted that there might be some more GoldenEye type announcements coming before the major showcase, referring to a recent launch of the classic shooter GoldenEye 007 on Xbox and Game Pass. There are several high-profile launches for Xbox confirmed to be coming before the June showcase, including Minecraft Legends. In April, Redfall in May. The Xbox platform is bustling more than it has in years. Of course, no interview with Xbox head could last long without touching on Microsoft's ongoing acquisition of Activision Blizzard. When asked by Hodson about Call of Duty and Activision Blizzard, Spencer reiterated it was never about that, stating that Microsoft never intended to take Call of Duty away from competing platforms, and Xbox is focusing on building a platform to reach gamers everywhere. Spencer also echoed comments made in an earlier interview that the deal is ultimately about mobile games and not Call of Duty. Quote, how do we gain more capability on mobile, both creatively as well as having users? Spencer asked during the interview. The answer was apparently simple for Microsoft. Acquire the largest mobile games publisher outside of China, Activision Blizzard King. Mobile gaming is the largest market in video games, but is also the weakest area for current Xbox ecosystem. Activision Blizzard King provides the talent, creativity, and IPs to help Xbox fix that weakness. Jumping back into the discussion of Call of Duty and exclusivity, Spencer states that, quote, we want to absolutely make the best version of Call of Duty for any players on those platforms. There will be no exclusive skins or guns for Call of Duty on Xbox, according to the Xbox head, as the same version of the game will be available for every platform in the same vein as the Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, Minecraft, and Minecraft Dungeons and beyond. This has to, quote, this has to benefit players and creators, or it hasn't been successful for Xbox, Spencer concluded on Xbox's intention to acquire Activision Blizzard. To add to that too, he made a point during that conversation to point out Hogwarts Legacy's exclusive quest to PlayStation. Small little shot during his conversation, and said, yeah, we're not about that. That ain't happening over here. So he was definitely saying that that's not going to happen. Also, during that conversation about Call of Duty, he pointed out that Minecraft had around 20 million active users when they took over Minecraft, and they've expanded it, and now it's somewhere right around 120 million. So almost six times. That was a big number.
I saw that
120 million.
I saw that. I was like, what? 120 million players.
Yeah, for Minecraft.
I looked it up.
Yeah.
All of Activision.
Yeah.
All of Activision.
Yeah.
Had 100 and last fourth quarter of 2022.
Yeah.
Had 110 million active users. The entire company of Activision.
Right. That includes World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty.
Minecraft has 120 million.
Yeah. Right.
That is insane.
That is insane. But it shows also how much Microsoft has grown Minecraft, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Again, there was worries about Minecraft when they first acquired them, Mojang. And of course, now look at it, 6 times the amount of users. Crazy. Finally, Hodson and Spencer discussed the potential of AI to empower creators in building new and original video games. Quote, the intersection of AI and gaming has always been there, Spencer said, and now the AI capability on the planet is getting bigger and bigger. AI has long played a prominent role in games development, and Xbox is actively exploring how improvements in AI like Bing AI can translate to improvements in the best Xbox games. Quote, our creators are now spending a lot of time with AI engineers and thinking about how this can be an additive, positive force in the games we are building, Spencer told Hodson. Toward the end of the interview, Xbox is making major investments in a variety of areas across its platform, which covers Xbox consoles, Windows, PC, and cloud gaming. That's it. All right. So, Matt, big interview. Really, really good interview. This is the interview that fired everybody up because, of course,
I don't know why.
Because the circus, the clowns, Matt, they wait for this Phil. They wait for the Phil interviews, and they wait for a specific line when he talks about exclusivity. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. If the topic of exclusivity comes up, Phil always falls back onto none of our acquisitions. It doesn't matter what he's talking about. Our acquisitions are not about taking away games from other platforms. Mm-hmm. He always says that line. He has been consistent with that line since day one. So the circus, clowns show up in their cars. They got their squeaky shoes on, got their squeaky noses, and they all show up and say, you're a liar. That's what they like to do here. You're a liar. It doesn't matter what game it is. Of course, right now it's Starfield because that's the next big game coming out.
Because it's the game they want.
Right. That's the game also that they want, even though they say they don't, but they secretly do.
Yeah. They're sad about that one.
So they just wait for this comment and come out of the woodwork to say, Phil, you're lying yet again. How do Xbox listen to this dude? Listen, you took away Starfield. You're taking away Elder Scrolls. You're taking away Fallout. Don't tell me you're not taking away games from us. You're taking away games. And if you try to have a conversation, which I don't, because again, I'm not going to waste my energy on any of these people. I don't give a shit. People are all, like Mav said, either they're hypocrites or like I say, they're intellectually dishonest or they're willfully ignorant. They pull what they want out of these conversations and they run with it. If you point out to them that those were never announced for PlayStation, even if you know they were in production for PlayStation, they were never officially announced. So, no, those games never officially existed for PlayStation. So, therefore, those games aren't being taken away from you. And if you want to break it down further, ladies and gentlemen of the clowns, if you want to break it down further, if they're true, why don't you listen to Phil's word? What he's saying is, because he mentions in his interview that exclusives are still a part of the ecosystem. Again, he doesn't like it, but he admits they're still a part of the ecosystem and will be.
Yeah.
But if you break it down further and you actually listen, what he's saying is that their main intention is never to pull games. They don't go make an acquisition going, ha ha ha, Sony doesn't get these. No more for you, PlayStation owners.
That's what you would do.
Right. That's what I would do. Absolutely 100%. I'd be evil.
Just be blunt,
okay?
I'd be blunt about it.
Bro, scorched earth if it was me. This would be over with. Again, nobody cared when Sega had to drop out of the console business. I don't care. Anyways, that's not why they go make these acquisitions. Now, as a part of those acquisitions, Are certain IPs going to be exclusive? Of course. Again, unfortunately, in Phil's mind, unfortunately, it's still a part of this game's industry. Like we talked about before, it gives your ecosystem identity. You got to have some exclusives. But that's not the main point, because if that was the main reasoning, Mav, I'm going to let you jump in here because I've been reading a lot and talking a lot. If that was the main purpose, why would they have honored those contracts with Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo? Why would they not have bought out paid the penalty and said, ha ha ha, hey, PlayStation, yeah, hey, PlayStation owners, you know you were expecting these two games? Yeah, guess what? Nah, you don't get them. You're going to have to come over to Xbox now. We got them. If they were intending on taking away games from the PlayStation community through these acquisitions, why would they continue to support Fallout 76? Why would they continue to support ESO? You can say, well, because they're MMOs, they need big player bases. Microsoft could care freaking less, right? You tell us how much money Microsoft has. They can just lose money on every deal. They don't worry about that stuff. That's why they did Game Pass. So if their true intent was to take games away and try to force people to come over to the Xbox ecosystem, why would they continue to support those games? Why would they allow those games and others to appear in PS Plus?
Minecraft Dungeons.
Minecraft Dungeons, Fallout 4 has been in there. Fallout 76 in there now. Why would they allow that to happen if that was their true intent? They would pull everything and say, nope, we own them. You guys no longer get them. Next year, when Fallout 4 gets the current gen patch, or I should say this year, this summer, Fallout 4 is getting a current gen patch for free, by the way.
PlayStation.
Fallout 4, yeah, PlayStation users are getting it. Why would they give that to you? Why would they not make that a benefit for Xbox? But you guys can't answer that because you guys just go on this whole, Bill's a liar. Bill's a liar. They're pulling games off. Games that were never announced for us still count because we know they were in production. We know they were being made for PlayStation, so they still count. You guys pulled them away from us. No. They own the IP. They're allowed to do what they want. They have shown through their actions that not every IP is going to be exclusive. They've shown through their actions that they're going to continue to support PlayStation players. But you guys got a narrative. And the circus only runs off narratives. So you got to come out. You got to push that narrative. It's BS. Go ahead, Mav. What do you think about Phil's interview? What big points stood out to you in all this? Great interview, by the way. I just absolutely love when Phil talks. But what stood out to you? Are you sleeping?
No.
Should we get out of here?
No, I'm good. I was thinking.
Oh, you were thinking? Oh,
yeah, which is dangerous sometimes. No, I was thinking like overall, he's said the same thing he's said numerous times over and over again, pretty much all the way through this interview. So honestly, it was a good interview, but I didn't really learn anything new from the interview. And the people that are trying to twist something out of this interview are just hunting for just talking points to try and talk some shit. I mean, that's all. I mean, that's really all it is, and it's a bunch of fake outrage, right? Because these people that have been claiming that they're not going to be able to get to play Starfield now, the ones that are always arguing about this and talking about how much it sucks, like, they get to play it on their supercomputers that they have.
Sure.
Right? I mean, they get to play it there. You can play it on your phone if you want to. You can play it on your crappy PC via the cloud. Play on your Samsung TV. You can play it on your LG. You can go get a console that's half the price of your expensive console and play it on there as well with the Series S. You can get a Series X if you want to play it there. You can only pay $14.99 a month for the game also, right? And you get it on all those ecosystems all at the same time. Play it on Steam if you just don't feel like you want to support Xbox to the most or whatever. If you just hate Xbox that much, so you play it on Steam or whatever as well. I mean, whatever avenue you want, you play it there. It's the most wishlisted game on Steam right now. There's more to gaming than PlayStation. If you want to play Starfield, you got to pick another place to play. Point blank, period.
Mhm.
Much like an Xbox guy, has got to either play Final Fantasy 16 on a PC or on a PlayStation 5. Right? Got to go spend that money. Right? Final Fantasy 7 Remake, got to go spend that money. You got to do it. You got to pay $70 plus the console purchase, or you got to have a good PC and run that. That won't even be playable probably via PlayStation's cloud service for sure either. I mean, like, that's not an option. So, like, tell me what is the most accessible, easy to get into ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
You want to sit there and complain about exclusives for games that your competition even owns now, that is a new IP that never was going to, like, never was announced for your platform, right?
Yep.
You want to complain about not getting something that was never officially going to be available, right? You want to complain about that, yet third-party companies that aren't even owned by you, you're contracting them to not put games in the other place.
Which is fine.
Right?
Business. Yeah.
It's business. But I call the people claiming Phil is a liar, all this stuff, hypocrites.
Right.
You're fucking hypocrites. You're just full of shit. Like, you're full of shit. So you go out there and you say this stuff, and then your company that you only want to play on is sitting there again, like we talked about with all the ABK stuff. The documents are going to prove it again if they come to fruition. Is doing this left and right.
Stellar Blade was officially announced.
It was officially announced for Xbox. Final Fantasy VII Remake was actually said it was coming to Xbox after a year.
It was coming to other places.
So you can put that, whatever.
You could, but whatever. Yeah.
That's in the same realm as Starfield.
Right.
They never officially announced. Exactly. So what are we talking about here then? You know what I mean? It's just because you only want to outrage against anything else. It's not the thing that you care about playing on, that you're anti big bad Microsoft or whatever. So stop playing word games, try to twist things. Because I've seen this from this disingenuous group a lot. Always trying to twist words into something else and make things seem like that. Or like, remember when they used to try and say like Xbox is only going to make AA games? Right, for Game Pass, like because Matt Booty said they're gonna have Matt Booty said they're gonna be. Yep. I mean, it's just like the stuff continues and continues and continues. Open your mind and actually read the stuff that comes from them, from Microsoft, from Phil Spencer.
Yep.
Listen to what they actually say.
Right.
And that's all you got to do, and you will actually be a lot smarter, more educated on the business model of Microsoft and Xbox than you are, right? Instead, you just wait for this sentence and this random thing. You don't listen to anything else, probably. Oh, look, see that? I'm going to try and figure out something and way to make this seem like it's shady, right? It's pundits.
Yeah, it's pundit like. It's pundit like. Very much.
I don't know. It's just ridiculous, man. I just don't get it.
The thing that did stand out to me too, though, Mav, is the fact that he made mention that there's not going to be any exclusive content for Call of Duty anymore. I did think that was a little bit interesting because that is one thing I did think we would see
potentially
on
Xbox.
Nothing major, right? Nothing
do major. The opposite of what PlayStation was doing.
Right, exactly. I thought there would be some benefits outside of even just it being in Game Pass eventually. I thought that they would start, hey, if you do get Xbox, you get it on Xbox Game Pass, and you also get a skin, right? Or you also get whatever. I thought they would, but Phil made it quite clear. And again, this could be part of the ABK deal. This could be them going completely neutral with Call of Duty and saying, nope, nobody's getting anything different, which I'm cool with. Again, it is what it is. I just thought it was interesting that he came out and flat out said that because they had not broached that subject previously, specifically about that extra content. So I thought that was a little bit telling here as well that, nope, everybody across the board going to get the exact same version, no matter what.
Yeah. I think it's straightforward interview, man. He just kind of talked about the stuff. He talked about that they're focusing heavily on June right now. That
E3,
they have a lot of stuff planned for that. So I'm excited for whatever they got cooking.
And he said they know exactly what they want to show.
Yeah.
He said they've known what exactly they wanted to show for a while now, which is also very interesting. So
Hellblade 2, maybe, potentially. And we saw it today.
He's visiting. Yeah, they started
Right.
up, and they said they're going to start ramping up more videos too. They said it's going to be a regular.
I find it interesting. Was today the day that he was visiting AB Ninja Theory? Was it yesterday? Or
when did the interview happen? The interview happened Wednesday. Yeah, it was today. Because I think he said I'm going to go visit Hellblade 2 tomorrow. So
right. So like that diary dropped the same day Phil was actually visiting. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right. I wonder if they did that when he was there. Like, hey, look, Phil.
I'm kind of sad that was another National Geographic video though.
Yeah, we've seen that before. We've
seen that before. Yeah. Like again, give me like 1, 2 still screenshots never before seen. Like if you guys are this far along in the game, give me 1 or 2 screenshots. I'm not asking for video. I'm not asking for gameplay. Just give me 2 screenshots.
Now they didn't say this was coming or anything. I don't think so. Like part of me thinks maybe like okay. They're gonna start. You said they said they're gonna make these videos more frequent.
They are. So yes.
This is
be a regular update.
A start of these things that could potentially lead up to holiday this year.
Correct.
And they're kind of getting some of these smaller things out of the way. Maybe one they do like an audio, right? Because it was such a big focal point of the game before. Maybe one they do on character models. Once they do more on like puzzles or whatever. Like, and they may just carry it through up until they have like their big gameplay thing at like E3, right? That would make a lot of sense, and why they would start now, right? So I'm just curious when the Starfield deep dive is, because he didn't mention it. He didn't mention it at all, right?
No,
but it's okay. It's all right. Like you said on the intro.
Yep.
This week's been a little bit of a back of the mind disappointment, just because I was really hyped potentially for that announcement. Now I'm just hoping it's next week, which would still give time for it to be like a 15th show, right? Yes. So maybe the insiders were wrong about how imminent it was, right? The announcement.
We still know that they're supposedly doing that thing on the 7th, right? With the media,
right?
That Bethesda, there was this thing announced, and like everybody's gone quiet about it.
Yeah,
I'm surprised the media hasn't brought it up. We were told that the media was informed that they're going to have a media-only event for Bethesda, and that happened, I think, in January, that announcement, or some of the media started talking about it. And now it's been all quiet because they said, oh, they're having a closed door. Bethesda's having a closed door media-only event, which is going to focus on Redfall again and something else. Was there?
I don't remember.
Redfall? I can't remember. But it was really strange because we've had all the Redfall that we need to have. Like, I don't know what else there could be. So I'm thinking maybe, man, they held off the announcement until they have the media event, like you talked about, like we kind of speculated on. Maybe they show what they're going to show. Maybe they show the deep dive to the media, so the media can write about it and have articles ready. And then we get the announcement, and then again, it could be a very quick turnaround time. I don't know, just interesting timing for all this to happen. But yeah. With all the smoke out there this week that we were going to get an announcement, I was kind of
lining it up that way. If they have that media event on the 7th, then maybe they announce the deep dive on the 8th, and then the deep dive on the 15th, right?
Right.
Which was a day a lot of the insider people said that it could be. Anyway, so imminent, soon, within 2 weeks, I guess. We'll see, but maybe deep dive announcements next week. I don't think they'll announce it tomorrow. They have announced good things before on a Friday, but it's very few and far between, right?
Yeah.
So
today was the 2nd, which is the exact date that they did the Oblivion announcement on. That's why I was kind of hoping that today was the day. That was my guess, because maybe Todd was following in line with the Oblivion stuff. That didn't happen either. Yeah. Scalzi also came out this week. Scalzi's done a couple videos this week. Go check out Scalzi. Scalzi's a great dude. We probably will have him on PM to PM after we see the deep dive at some point, because Scalzi is a Bethesda head. He knows a lot, and he's always good. But he had dropped a couple videos this week, but he also dropped that screenshot, Mav, of GameStop friend of his that had a placeholder show up in the GameStop system for a game. Yeah. And it just says placeholder, doesn't have a name. But obviously he said that generally happens very shortly before a new game announcement.
I asked Forte about that today on World of Gaming.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, and he said,
What he
yeah, it's
said.
usually within like 2 weeks or so that they
Okay.
switch it over,
So the
right?
guess is that yeah,
It could
the
be,
announcement is coming.
right? It would
It
line
could
up
be.
to that timing,
Yes. Right.
of that.
Exactly.
So who knows? It's very
Yeah.
possible. Something that is not known is getting a release date soon, right?
Yes. Yep.
So we know that whatever it is, it's an Xbox $70 game probably. So it's gonna be interesting to see whatever that is. So that's been corroborated by I think a couple other people from there. So
Correct.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what that is, man. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I'm still. I did get a question from Archimedes today on his show.
Yeah. Okay.
He asked me because I guess you denied it last week when you're on his show. Who is the true leader, the CEO of the marchers?
Yes. Yes.
And I told him it's Pong has denied it on your show, but all of the constituents here will not let him resign as the president. So you're, regardless of what you
No.
want, Pong, you're still the leader of the marchers.
We're leaderless. This is a movement
No.
of people. Okay. Again, the
We gotta have
Oracle
a
was
face
Steel.
behind.
Steel Rain was the Oracle.
Yeah, he was the Oracle.
He provided the date 9 months ago, right? On Living Split Screen. He came up with the date. We took it as profits and built out the Oracle's words into a full theory.
Yeah,
right? That's
now
what
we
we
built
did.
a cult.
Now we have a movement. I'm not gonna call it a cult. Goddamn Rand.
A cabal.
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 Yeah, Rand. Yeah. Well, he threw out cult first, and then he changed it to cabal. But it's a movement. Well, whatever. Again, we've all been talking about it pretty much equal between all of us. That's why I say it's a leaderless movement. But it is fun at the end of the day, no matter what happens here. Again, I still have hope. Mav still has hope. All of us still have hope because it is still possible, and it's a good, solid theory. Yeah. And again, April
would work well too.
April would work very well. And again, I've hedged my bet since the beginning almost that April would still be a good month. And we had another announcement this week, Mav, of a game that we were all kind of waiting on for. Well, I mean, again, some of us. It was shown off at shows last year, and we all got kind of excited for it, right? And that was Atlas Fallen, right? Yeah, Atlas Fallen. And interesting enough, they came out and announced their release date, and they didn't pick April, even though April's wide open. Again, it could just be development. But I thought that was interesting because it's actually May the 16th, I think, was the date. I just lost my spot.
That's
now,
like
but
2 days before Redfall, I think.
Or May 2nd is Redfall.
Oh, May 2nd is Redfall. Okay.
Yeah, May 2nd is Redfall. They're early. Atlas Fallen is May the 16th. Atlas Fallen is going to be a really cool game, I think. Again, this is another Focus Entertainment. Focus Entertainment has been pumping out games, publishing games left and right here. So looking forward to this one. But I was like, hey, another game that's staying away from April now. That's weird.
Yeah, April's why is everybody really void?
Yeah, April is like we got Dead Island 2, right? Which had another trailer, another gameplay trailer dropped today for Dead Island 2. Yeah. Go watch
like
that.
A 15-minute one, I think, right?
Yeah, like Dead Island 2 could be the surprise hit of the year. I know everybody's zombied out.
It's stupid
a lot
fun,
of people
man.
Are burned out.
Stupid fun.
But it looks beyond even stupid fun, Mav. Like the old Dead Island were stupid fun.
Yeah.
This one looks like it's actually going to be holy shit. Wow. With all the new technology that they're using for being able to punch through zombies and all that kind of stuff. Dead Island 2 could be a surprise hit this year. But back on point again, it is just interesting that April is wide open and nobody's dropping their games there, like so far. So just take that with however you want to read it. Again, I think March was on the table for Starfield. For a variety of reasons, but maybe they pushed it for a couple weeks. Obviously, Resident Evil 4 is dropping there if they care about Capcom. Again, I say they shouldn't, but whatever. Maybe they care about Capcom. Maybe Todd said, Phil, we need a couple more weeks. They drop it in the first half of April. It's still a great spot. April is wide freaking open, and you still give room, a month, 3 weeks, month time frame for Redfall before Redfall drops. I think it's a great point for Starfield to drop. So we'll see. But we're still on train. We're still on the train. We're still on board. Just got to get this announcement. I just want to see the deep dive. Listen, I'm like an addict right now. I'm fiending. I need some Starfield in my life. They've been quiet. Yeah. They haven't done any of their question and answer sessions in months. I need something, Todd.
They're building up. They're building up that anticipation. right?
I need a fix, Todd. Mainline it for me, buddy. I need that.
We got a couple
yeah.
super chats here. God
Oh,
Emperor
shoot.
SofaKing with a $2 super chat.
Ooh, thank you,
Says
guys.
ponies can take a long walk off a short dock. I don't want. That's funny. I don't want that for them, you know. But I hope some of them come to the senses. Just some rational thinking would be helpful, right? 3-bit with a $5 super chat. Appreciate you, 3-bit. Says statements matter more than expectations. Statements like Stellar Blade as opposed to Starfield, which is internal. Porting can come later in development. Yeah. So that whenever there's stuff that goes behind the scenes within game development all the time that people don't ever know about, right?
Right.
And things change, to his point, right? So you don't know 100% what's ever going to happen. There's been lots of games announced that don't ever come out, right? I mean, there's been games like Warhammer Dark Tide is supposed to launch on Xbox and PC at day and date. Still don't have it on Xbox, right? I mean, there's a lot of issues that happen sometimes, and sometimes the company gets bought, and you lose out on getting that game because you know what, it ain't yours no more. It ain't. You don't have the ability to get the rights, right? Or the company that owns it doesn't want you to have it, and that's just what it is in this case, you know. So I just say get over it.
Yep.
If you want to play it, find another avenue.
Right. And thank you, chat, for reminding me Jedi Survivor is in April, but is April 28th. So we're talking all the way at the end of the month, right? So thank you for reminding me, though, that Jedi Survivor is there now. I do tend to forget Jedi Survivor because I'm not going to be day one on it. I like Fallen Order, but even as a Star Wars super fan, it's like it's very good, and I will play it eventually. But it's just like it's not on my high list right now. There's too many other games. So, but thank you for reminding me because it is important to remember because it could be Game of the Year contender for sure. But that's all the way at the end of the month. So again, if Starfield can make the first couple weeks of April, it's still wide open. It's still wide open.
I'm still late March, early April. I mean, late March would be my hope, but early April. I mean, there's no difference for me between late March and early April, except for just for the fact that we were on March early. So I just want that to happen. Right. Exactly. I mean, like, realistically, like if it happens in like March 23rd versus like April fucking 12th, just random date or whatever, it is zero difference to me whatsoever. Right. Like, don't think May is as good, and I don't think June's as good. Right. So I think that it makes the best sense to be March or April. But like, was funny is that we just so invested with March, we just want it to happen just for the sake of fucking happening in March now. Right. So it's like we're gonna double down on it until we can't no more. Right. So March 31st. March 31st will become Aprilers. They'll become a new movement.
Speaking of Game of the Year, Mav, Elden Ring got DLC officially announced. We don't know for sure when it's coming.
Really what it is too much either, right?
Yeah, we don't know.
Way to announce something.
Shadow of the Erd Tree, currently in development, and looking forward to showing you more. Elden Ring official post. Rise tarnished and let us walk a new path together. An upcoming expansion for Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree, is currently in development. We hope you look forward to new adventures in the lands between.
I'm guessing it's going to be a massive expansion.
Yeah, I'm guessing so too.
Otherwise, I feel like they would have had information, a price, a window at least. This is just like, this is a name.
Right, which is enough to drive hype again. I mean, again, Elden Ring's one of those games. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I've just never seen an expansion announced that way.
Yeah, it's just different because Elden Ring hit different. This is what it is, man. It's crazy, but it's a phenomenon, and it's continued. Yeah. People to this day, I open my Twitter feed almost on a daily basis. There's multiple people posting gameplay footage from them playing Elden Ring still. I mean, it's insane. Like, that game hit differently. And it also kind of falls in line, too, because they are supposedly launching Armored Core 6 this year. Don't forget that. Steel's most anticipated game, one of my top most anticipated games. And we got some news this week, too. Armored Core 6 is reportedly targeting a September launch and will arrive before the Elden Ring DLC. So they're trying to get Armored Core 6 out the door. Obviously, they probably started work on the DLC, maybe late last year. into this year. So I wouldn't expect it before, maybe holiday season this year. I'm sure they would love to do that, capitalize on it, get some more sales again, coming into the holiday season when everybody likes to buy things. So I could definitely see them targeting that. But Armored Core 6 is supposedly going to come out before that, so that was a good announcement as well. Because at least for some of us who are hyped. Um, are you going to jump back into Elden Ring, Matt, if the DLC
Uh,
hits?
yeah,
Eh,
I mean, maybe.
yeah, maybe.
I real quick, I did
Yeah,
miss the super
go ahead.
chat from Alvin.
Go. Oh,
Alvin,
how could you miss Alvin?
I know, I'm
Let's go.
sorry. Alvin with a $5 super chat says May has Redfall, Zelda,
Yep.
Atlas
Yep.
Fallen, Suicide Squad, etc. stacked.
Yep.
Yeah, May is pretty stacked. June's pretty stacked.
June's
So
very stacked.
March and April are the
That's
two best.
I know it really is.
Yeah, what were we Elden Ring? Am I gonna dive back in?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I will probably eventually play some Elden Ring again. I don't know when. It's the thing is like I like the game until I get into the castle areas. Then
Right.
I hate the game.
Sure.
And I feel like okay, well, and I get there, I gotta progress through that, and I'm like, I just don't want to, right? So that's where I'm at right now, and I'm in a castle, and I fucking hate it, and I
Okay.
just don't want to play it. So
Yeah.
maybe eventually I will, but it'll be when I'm like, really feel like beating my head against a fucking wall,
Sure.
right? So when I feel like playing a game for a challenge, sometimes you get in that mood, right? And
Yeah.
it's not like Elden Ring's the hardest thing in the world. It just gets like repetitive for me when you get in those situations, right?
Yep.
And it's not as much about it being hard. I get, you can play and get through these things and stuff. And I've never really had that much of an issue with the Souls games. It's just about doing that gets repetitive for me at times, and I get bored with it. So I just move on because I don't feel like repeating the same sequence over and over again at times. So that's what it is. It's only my issue with that model of
Co-op
game.
makes a difference. Having
Yeah.
Steel be able to jump in and carry me around in his
Yeah.
little sack, boss, is actually it does make a difference, right? So
Mhm.
even though I know I've got somebody who is sweaty in there with me and who's really good at the game,
Sweaty
I'm
little
still doing.
sack.
Yeah, the sweaty little sack. You need some manscaped ball toner. But I it's still I'm doing damage. I'm still doing my thing, and I'm still helping. At the end of the day, I'm like a support class at that point, which is cool to me. Like I don't have a problem with that. I kind of think of it as like an MMO, like run around, somebody else is in there, and I'm just supporting. But I don't know if Elden Ring's going to be far down my list to jump back into, even with DLC. I know millions of people are going to hop back into this game, if they're not already still playing it, which they are. But I'm gonna be the game for me is gonna be Starfield. It's gonna be nonstop. That's what I'm gonna be getting into. Like it's gonna be hard for me to jump in a game like Elden Ring and actually commit to it, which it is a commitment when you jump into something like Elden Ring. It's not a hop in, hop out game. It's something you got to pay. You actually got to spend some time in, like you said, and go through, learning those mechanics all over again because I'm not a natural Souls player. So it's like gonna be a mission. Like when I hop back in.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's exciting. Again, Elden Ring deserves DLC like instantaneously. So I'm glad they're working on it, and I'm glad they made the announcement because there's going to be millions of people excited for that. We got another delay this week as well, Mav. Wolf Among Us 2 from Telltale got delayed into 2024. That was supposed to come out this year. They actually did not give an official delay date. They just said 2024. They said they're moving it out of 2023 into 2024. If you have not played The Wolf Among Us, if you like Telltale games, and there's lots of them, but you have not sat down to The Wolf Among Us, highly, highly recommend The Wolf Among Us. It is by far my favorite Telltale game, and I really like The Walking Dead. But The Wolf Among Us is on another level. Even if you've never looked at the graphic novels that it's based off of, does not matter. It's got some of the best characters out of any Telltale game. It's got some of the best acting out of any Telltale game. Wolf Among Us is highly underrated when it comes to their games. So I would go check it out because the Wolf Among Us 2 is probably going to be damn good. If the number one is anything, I never thought they would do a sequel because it was probably the least popular out of their series. But I still think it's the best for me and a lot of people. There's a group of us out there that say that Wolf Among Us is our favorite Telltale game. So go check out Wolf Among Us. But Wolf Among Us 2 will be here in 2024 sometime. A little disappointing news. Did you ever play Wolf Among Us?
That's
Mav?
one I didn't play. I played
Okay. Yep.
I
That's what a
I
lot of people.
I played the Walking Dead Telltale
Yep.
game, the
Yep.
original first series of it.
Yeah.
Love that. That actually got us into the Walking Dead show. We actually got into
nice.
that before we ever
Nice.
watched the season of it. Then we had
Right,
like 5
right.
seasons back then at the time to watch or something. So we got really into that, and but that's the only Telltale game that I got into.
Okay.
I've
Fair
kind
enough.
of thought about it before, but it's
Yeah.
like those games are kind of like one of those things that like, I don't really feel like playing it or want to try
Sure.
it, but when you do, you get hooked into it, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know, maybe one day we will again, but haven't
Yeah.
dipped my toe back in. All right. Besides, I thought if I was to play one, it'd probably be more like the Batman one or something
I was
like
just gonna ask you
that.
if you jumped into the Batman.
No,
one,
because
yeah.
that's one I'm more interested in.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
I already have. I'm a fan of Batman. Right?
Yeah, of
So
course, of course.
it'd be
yeah.
more exciting. But Wolf Among Us does look interesting, right?
It's adult fairy tales.
Yeah.
It is very adult, based on fairy tales, but it is freaking amazing. Again, some of the best character work Telltale has ever done, and of course, they had source material because the graphic novels are absolutely incredible. I've read a couple of them, absolutely phenomenal. But they had the source material, but they did a great job with it. And again, that's why I would recommend it. Anybody looking for a Telltale game, go play it for sure. Well, here we go, Mav. Let's go back to one of our favorite developers of all time, Square Enix.
Ooh,
Mav, Square
yeah.
Enix. Good old Square, Mav.
They got Luminous Productions got bit by the old Square bug, huh?
The spin is absolutely incredible. The spin is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I watched
amazing.
Ash and Luca. Shout out to Luca, Queen. She put out a video on this, and she actually went back. Slow Mo had sent her back to one of the articles when they first had spun off Luminous.
Yeah.
And their reasoning behind it was they wanted diversity in their studios. They were looking at different markets and different developers, publishers, and seeing that they were giving their teams like some freedom. Yeah. And so they wanted to do that with a team. And so they thought Luminous would be a great chance to do that they would spin off one of their teams, allow them some creative freedom, allow them kind of do their thing, and see what they could come up with. And of course, that turned into Forspoken, as everybody should know. And Forspoken, again, I'm still interested in the game. I still think the game looks like something I would have fun in, no matter what everybody else wants to say. Again, I don't base my judgments off of that. I still think it has a lot of potential. I thought it looked like a cool game. Again, but a lot of people had a lot of problems with it. A lot of people, for various reasons, all over the board, the game didn't hit the way it should. So this week, it was announced. Oh, just kidding. Square Enix said reorganization within the Square Enix group. This will be from Square Enix's side, and then I'll read the Luminous side. So Square Enix head Yasuko Matsuda announces that it will merge its wholly owned subsidiary, Luminous Productions Company, into its wholly owned subsidiary, Square Enix Company Ltd., effective May 1st, 2023. The merger is part of the company's efforts to further bolster the competitive prowess of the group's development studios, a goal set forth under its current medium-term business strategy. Square Enix has also developed numerous AAA high definition. Their fascination with HD, I don't man, we're in 2023, bro.
Yeah.
How long has HD been around? But Square Enix like said, "Oh, this is about HD games and our AAA HD." I'm like, what have you been making?
I don't know what that means.
It's so old school, man. It's like
we're
Square
on 4K
Enix
now.
Still, Square is like back in the 90s still.
Yeah.
Like even it makes a lot of sense if you think of them being so far behind everybody else as to a lot of their decisions. It makes complete sense. I just thought it was hilarious. I kept saying HD games over and over again. And possess a wealth of intellectual property and content. Luminous Productions is meanwhile equipped not only with AAA title development capabilities, but also technical expertise in areas such as game engine development. Combining the two entities will further enhance the group's ability to develop HD games.
Maybe it means something else.
They said high definition in the official
Yeah, okay.
release.
I don't
It's
understand.
it is high definition. Like
720 or interlaced or 1080.
right.
720p, 1080i or 1080p.
Oh God, Square.
What?
Listen, I love Square because I'm an old school, gamer, and so I grew up on Square. I grew up when they were Square Soft. Again, they've made some of my favorite JRPGs of all time: Secret of Mana, yada yada yada, Final Fantasy Tactics, the best tactics game ever created. The list goes on
100%.
and on. But their decisions over the past decade, wow. Luminous Productions put out their own official statement, said an update from Luminous Productions. You may have heard the news that Luminous Productions is merging with Square Enix beginning on May 1st. Our talented team will join Square Enix to deliver new, innovative game experiences to players across the globe. Between now and then, we remain entirely focused on Forspoken. We are currently working on the previously announced patch to address overall game performance. We will deliver an update soon. And the DLC in Tanta We Trust. It is on track for a release this summer. Thank you again for your patience and support. When we established Luminous Productions in 2018, our vision was to make AAA games that fuse technology and artistry to deliver completely new play experiences. Having the chance to do just that has been a dream come true. We appreciate you taking this journey with us and look forward to continuing to create new entertainment and experiences as part of the Square Enix family. You already were.
Yeah.
Sincerely, the Luminous Productions team.
It's almost like they tried to spin it as it's an acquisition.
Right.
So we're going to give you an identity, separate yourself,
Correct.
We're going to give you your own bedroom now. It's yours. You can do what you want with it, right? Decorate it how you want. Start creating your own stuff. We don't like what you're doing in there. Come back and move back into here. Right?
Just kidding.
But we're so
yeah.
It's so weird to announce it like it's an acquisition, man. Like basically what happened here is Luminous just lost their autonomy.
Right.
They just now are less creative freedom. They're going to be put on support projects potentially. Who knows, right?
Correct.
Square.
Yeah, they basically got demoted. J Gaming, 1986. They got demoted. Yeah, they were promoted. Hey, you're our favorite studio. We're going to let you go do your thing. One game in. Oh, that was.
Wait a second. That cost a lot of money. Didn't make us enough money. Maybe when Hi-Fi Rush killed it, they were like, whoa. Now, again, I mean, I don't blame the studio, right? You have to look at Square Enix. And again, for me, when you limit on a new IP like that, and you don't you're trying this new, and your only way of making your money is two ways. You make that upfront deal for exclusivity, and you're also are limiting the amount of places to play the game, right?
Correct.
So in that regard, if Square Enix is so worried, they don't have Square Enix doesn't have a subscription service like Game Pass to rely on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're limiting their audience, not growing interest in their brands and their products, and you're continuing to limit your audience to one ecosystem. You're going to hurt your sales. Well, that's why multi-plat sells so much. That's the benefit of being a multi-platform game developer, right? That's maybe that is your biggest strength, right? As a multi-platform company, as a publisher, right? That's not owned by a Sony or a Microsoft or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That is your biggest strength. That's your biggest reason to still stay independent, right? To be able to release these games everywhere you want to. But Square continuously takes the easy money up front, that little bit of an insurance check, fails to put out a high quality product, fails to meet fails to get a return on the investment that they put forward, and then goes, and what do? Time and time after again, blames their developers. Time and time again. How many failures do we have to see from Square Enix before they realize?
Put on a leash. They voluntarily put on a leash to become Sony's little biatch. They voluntarily do that.
Yeah.
And it bites them every single time.
Babylon's Fall, Forspoken, two massive marketed games from Square in the
this is a
last
great
2
segue,
years.
Matt. This is a great segue. Let's read a little bit into the insight, because on top of this Luminous situation, right, Matt? They also came out and talked about Yoshida came out and actually Naoki Yoshida, who is the producer of Final Fantasy 16, actually did another interview with 4Gamer this week as well. Mm-hmm. And he explained the reasoning, because it was announced, oh, by the way, Final Fantasy 16, it's not going to get a PC release. It's not going to have a PC release for at least 6 months. And by the sounds of it, probably even longer. So let me read this, because this gives
I didn't even know that. I missed that part.
Yes. This came out. So
God.
Yeah, so let me read this interview, Matt. So listen up, and then you'll be able to kind of add this to what we were just talking about with Square Enix. So question, regarding the PC version of Final Fantasy 16, during a broadcast, your comments became a topic of discussion. Please, could you tell us again? Yoshida, again, this is all translated. This was all done in Japanese, so forgive the English part of it. It's translated. Yoshida, firstly, for Final Fantasy 16, due to the timed exclusivity contract with SIE, we cannot release other platform versions for 6 months after the PlayStation 5 version is released. I suspect many people probably don't know why we enter into such contracts. Question from the interviewer. From the player's perspective, I think they perceive it as something like it is for the hardware manufacturer to sell its own hardware during the contract period. Again, sorry for the English that's translated. I think we all can follow along here, though. Yoshida, of course, I think there is also that kind of intention on the hardware manufacturer's part. Again, obviously saying, well, Sony wants to sell more consoles.
Right.
Right, as an exclusive, right?
Yeah.
However, from our point of view, the technical support we receive from the hardware manufacturer is a big factor to signing such contracts. This time, there was a portion where we were developing together with SIE engineers who know the hardware thoroughly down to the core, and we received generous support and optimization that we could not manage on our own, and so on. Also, by not developing on the premise of multiple platforms, we could invest more man hours into things such as building the game and optimization. In addition, we can also do promotions together globally that make me wonder, how much would this be if it was converted to money? So again, how much he's saying there's added value through the marketing, which we know Sony does include in their contracts. That's language that they use. They attach a dollar value of marketing as part of their marketing deal. So they say, hey, we're going to give you $5 million worth of marketing. I'm just throwing out a number. $5 million worth of marketing as part of signing exclusivity with us, right?
Yeah.
So that's what he's talking about there. Technological and promotional support are things we would like to receive if we can receive them. Again, apologize for the broken English, but I think, again, it speaks for itself.
Well, first off, I got to say, I'm just amazed that Japanese can be translated to English, because Sony themselves said that was going to be very difficult.
Emails were going to be very tough. Yes,
right.
Yes.
Just, okay, moving on. You can continue.
But no, go ahead. Like, listen, this is from their biggest franchise, right? And this is Final Fantasy 16. And this is their A team when it comes to Final Fantasies. Okay. Luminous was Final Fantasy 15, which was hit or miss. You know, Steel loves it. Some people really like Final Fantasy 15. Other people hate it. This is going back to their A team of Final Fantasy. Okay. This is from the producer saying we needed help technology-wise from SIE engineers to make this game the best it could be on PlayStation 5. So that's part of the reason why we took a timed exclusivity deal. So again, they're voluntarily putting the collar on and saying, yes, go ahead, Sony, lead us. As if Square Enix, this is Square Enix, folks. This is what blows my mind. This is a company I grew up playing their games on back on NES, for God's sakes, okay? Yeah, this is a company that's been around for decades. To be at this point in 2023, Mav, they are basically saying our biggest franchise, our biggest moneymaker, Final Fantasy, we need help making it, so we sign timed exclusivity deals and we voluntarily exclude other platforms, including PC of all places. we're going to exclude all of that just to get some promotional and technological help from Sony. This boggles my mind, man.
It doesn't sound like a wise business decision in the long run. Like, wouldn't you rather just make sure you can make games and put them wherever you want, right? Especially a game as big as Final Fantasy 16.
Right.
Like, and Final Fantasy 16 is going to sell, right?
Right.
Eventually, it'll be on Xbox, probably, hopefully. Eventually, it'll be on PC, right? But to come out and like take the easy money up front, I think this like technical stuff is honestly more or less like an excuse.
It could
right?
be.
I mean,
could be.
They're trying to
don't know,
sell
but
them
yes.
as Square. You're trying to sell the positive aspects of it, right?
Right.
If you sign that deal, you're getting that support from whoever you sign it with. If you sign a Game Pass deal with Xbox, you're getting that support whether it's exclusive or not, right? Also, other games like we've heard about Xbox helping developers on games that weren't even in Game Pass or whatever before. Like, didn't like they help Dying Light 2 or something like that before? Or like, there's lots of
Callisto Protocol is the big one.
Callisto for what, PlayStation?
Yeah, PlayStation.
Yeah, well, I think the Xbox.
Oh, you're talking Xbox?
Yeah,
oh,
I think Xbox helped Dying Light 2.
Yeah, because they were having problems.
Yeah, this goes on within the industry, and I would hope, like if a company has trouble bringing a game to a platform, like I put out on Twitter, like Microsoft, you should reach out to Larian, right, and send some engineers trying to figure out what it takes to get that Series X and S version of Baldur's Gate 3 running, right, so that you can meet it at launch, right? That's what the hope is, right? But that happens a lot in the industry, so. For me, it's like you're just trying to spin the positives because you knew you took the money on the easy way out here. And does it make developing easier? Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're only releasing on one platform.
Yeah.
Right.
Todd talked about with Starfield, right? Todd said, hey, it's been great. Focus on Xbox and have Xbox engineers helping us.
Great.
Right?
Take the money, easy way out. Going to make it on this one platform. Here's the thing Square just refuses to think about. Time and time again. Well, what's our projection of sales going to be? And it's like
you're killing your business.
And not only that, they also lack the foresight. What does the effect on this have on our brand in the long run? That's even a bigger thing to think about. Yeah. There's a reason why people say, Xbox gamers don't play these games now, because they've been doing without for them so long, right? They didn't build a market on the Xbox.
And inconsistency even when they do put them out.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler comes to Game Pass. Octopath Traveler 2 doesn't come. What? Yeah. And these games are forgotten. If you sign an exclusivity deal, Mav, the hype for that game naturally draws down even on the platforms that may get it later. You don't have that same hype level for those games.
You got to. I always hate the argument. Like the same thing we talk with RTS players, like console RTS players and stuff like that. It's like, you have to foster the environment to generate this, right? Like, it's not, you just don't like sometimes randomly just like have amazing success. Sometimes you have to build it over time. Do you think guys that just only play JRPG games, like gamers that play only JRPG games, would buy an Xbox over a PlayStation? No, they're going to buy a PlayStation. So when you say like, well, there's more of a market on JRPG, yeah, no shit, because that's where the fucking games are, right? Like that's where those games are.
It's been cultivated. It's not for decades
because a lot of them skip, right?
Right.
And they have been, and it comes because of deals like that, starting off with the biggest ones from Square, because they were the masters of the JRPG for so long. They were the predominant studio, and they start making these deals, and these games go exclusive all the time, left and right, because they always take that easy. They're scared. Right? It's like, for me, it's like scared money. Like, oh man, we need to take it. We need to get an investment with this because like we need to fund
shows how
this.
fragile
like,
their business is, right?
Take a fucking chance on yourself. Right? Get some balls, get some confidence, Square Enix. Take a chance on yourself and make something where the most players are going to play and just make the best damn thing possible and see what happens, right? You're probably going to have more success than you do taking all these like little smaller check amounts, right? Which I don't know, there could be larger sizes sometimes, but we've seen some of the amounts like thrown around here and there at times, and it's like doesn't equate to like what you could potentially lose, right? Make the smart decision, right? If you want easy money up front, go to Xbox and get a Game Pass deal where they're not requiring you to remove the game off of PlayStation. You still get your PlayStation sales. You get your upfront money from Game Pass. You also get the game on Xbox. You get it on PC at that point. You get it in the cloud. At some point, these companies are going to start wising up and think about, well, we got to release our games to more people, not less, right? And if you say, well, PlayStation has like so many players, you know, there's so many fans of this kind of genre is going to play. Think about how many more they could have, right? How many more people would potentially play this game, especially like you said, if it's not even coming to PC day one.
Right.
I mean, that's even more asinine. That also speaks for me. That just speaks to like development issues there at Square Enix, right? Like, you got to fix your shit, guys. You know, like, I mean, seriously, you're one of the biggest legendary publishers out there. For me, Pong said, games like Final Fantasy Tactics on my top 5 all-time list, one of my favorite games ever, right? And you come out here and you're just doing stuff like this all the time. Yeah, you have your great games and you have a lot of flops too.
Yeah.
And the other thing I got to call them out on, when they do fail, they just back away so fast and like just Babylon's Fall, regardless of how that game did, right? To just end support on it a year after launch and make those disc paperweights.
Yeah.
For the people that bought them, it's a shitty thing to do, right? Point blank, period. Shitty thing to do. Shouldn't have done it. If you're going to put that investment, you got to treat the people with respect that invested in your product, right? You're putting stuff out there for people to buy. You got to stand behind it. Improve it. Fix it over time, right? Like, it's on Platinum too, for sure, for that case. Now, Forspoken. Hey, what happens? Hey, it didn't sell to our expectations. So now you no longer get to make your own games, potentially. You're going to just be absorbed here, and we're going to tell you what to do. Like, it's just time and time again. Maybe if this happened 3 years later, it wouldn't be as big a thing. Because, you know, but this Forspoken just came out, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all know how it performed, right?
Yep.
So this is an obvious thing. And then them to try and twist it around and spin it as an acquisition. It's like, what's going on here, guys? Like, do you honestly think we're all this stupid, Square? And the fact, and exactly how I told you, like the developer might be kind of spinning the positive here. It's exactly what they did with that Luminous Productions thing. They're trying to twist it around and turn it into, well, this is the good news about it, right? Which you've seen numerous developers talk about when they get signed exclusivity deals. This allows us to focus on the one platform. We get help and all this. Yeah, it's great. It's true for the most part. Yes, that is true. But for Square's perspective, especially when they've ran into this problem time and time again, at some point you think you would learn. I guess not.
Nope. He also expounded upon the PC version too, which Tech what was this? Tech for Gamers picked up as well. Now this is the last quote I'll have. He talked about the optimization for the PC version. He said it would take more than 6 months to optimize a PC because if you put the PlayStation 5 version on a PC, he said you would need a PC that costs over $2,000 to run it. Okay. So, sure. So they got to optimize for PC.
Okay. $2 super chat from Rob the Don 202 says,
Rob the Don.
It sounds like Sony needs to buy. Yeah, maybe it would be best for Square. I don't know. I mean, it's been like support. It's been like
they don't want it. Why would they? They don't have to put a ring on it. They just
that's true.
Call the shots. They tell Square Enix what to do, and they do it. Like they don't. Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? That they do. It's like the perfect example of that. Like I think Square's personally been just praying that they do, but they just keep giving Sony everything they want, and so Sony's like, "Nah, we good with this relationship. That's fine. You my side girl. We don't need to go make that commitment right now."
You ever see like a mob or mafia movie when like you have all the bosses and all everybody and they find like some stupid like kid they give him like $50 to go do something crazy dangerous. You know what I mean? Square Enix is that stupid kid. Just does all these things, like puts themselves out there and does all the dirt, does all these things, and they just keep fucking themselves over, putting themselves in risky situations, right?
Exactly.
And like over and over and over again for nothing, right? Randy G with a $5 super chat said, I think Square is making a big mistake with Final Fantasy 16 because they are limiting their sales potential. That game won't make people buy a PS5 in droves. I agree. It will make some people buy a PS5 maybe, but not the masses. You know,
not
it's
masses, no. And I think with a game like Final Fantasy 16 with the hype surrounding it, if it did have an Xbox version or even a PC version at launch, you're talking about, I think potentially, again, would it sell as much as it does on PS5? No, but you're still talking about millions of sales. I think you're talking about close to 2 million sales between PC and Xbox easy, because that's how much hype Final Fantasy 16
it'd be more
has.
than that.
Well, and it could potentially. I'm keeping it low end. I'm keeping it just real for
Mhm.
all the people who want to say that nobody ever buys these games outside of PlayStation. No, I definitely think you're leaving a couple million at least sales on the table for Final Fantasy 16. I really do. It doesn't make any sense to me, Matt. It just doesn't.
Yeah, for the extra development cost, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
It's bad business decisions, man. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's goofy. It's goofy, but this is where Square has been for a very long time. And it's frustrating to me, like I said, as an old Square fan, it's frustrating to me. I'm not even the biggest Final Fantasy fan. There's other JRPG. I like Dragon Quest better than I do Final Fantasy. So even for me to say that, I still look at Square and I'm just like, what happened? You guys are like kings forever. Like, I don't understand how, again, management talks and I go, you guys are like a decade back, 2 decades back in your thinking.
I wonder if Final Fantasy 16 is going to be in HD.
Again, those comments were straight. Those were legit comments. They mentioned HD gaming like 3 times.
Yeah, maybe that's a Japanese translation thing.
It could be a Japanese translation, but it was crazy to me. I just it's just frustrating. Again, it's just frustrating because I think Square could be so much better. If they didn't have Final Fantasy 14, they probably would have gone under. If Final Fantasy 14 didn't have the resurgence that it had, they probably would have gone under. And the fact that Final Fantasy 14 still is not on Xbox, even though all the problems that were initially up front on Microsoft's side have been erased, that's been confirmed. It is now just straight up, either Sony is paying them under the table to never put Final Fantasy 14 on Xbox. Again, this is another statement that Phil made. When was it? 2019, I think, or 2018 when he promised Final Fantasy 14 was coming. And they made a huge deal out of it. They had the Square guys up there on stage announcing it. The fact that still hasn't, either Sony's paying them underneath the table or Square simply is not willing to put the resources into it is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
Because without that game, they would be nothing. And they could have, again, even if it's not as much as on PlayStation, even if it's not as much as on PC, you're still talking about leaving a cool million customers on the table by not having it on Xbox. It's stupid to me. It's stupid. Mav. What are we going to do, brother? We should take over these companies. We're good armchair CEOs.
We should become pundits.
We should. We are kind of pundits here, but we just don't claim to be anything expert. Listen to us, people. All right. Well, I think we got all the major news. Is there anything else you want to touch on, Mav? I think we covered pretty much everything. This has been over 3 hours already.
No, I mean we got pretty much everything. We got a show tomorrow night too, so
yeah, we got a show tomorrow night.
Yep. And spring break here next week.
Yeah, well, that's true. I forgot about that. IO Interactive did put out finally, we think, is Project Dragon. They put out an announcement. They're hiring for a fantasy RPG that they claim is going to change.
Yeah, they had that
everything.
like artwork too. Yeah.
Yeah, they showed off some artwork. Bold new online fantasy RPG. Jez, I asked Jez directly on Twitter. A lot of people did, obviously, when this came out. Is this Project Dragon? He said he read it and he put out his own post saying it appears this could be Project Dragon evolving into this. That was, Jez had initially broke the story as an Xbox funded project by IO Interactive. It sounds like now it's going to be multi-plat. This sounds like a big, huge deal. Like, they're all in on this. Sounds exciting. So we'll see where this goes. But that was basically the other news this week that kind of came out. I don't want to talk about EA laying off the entire division of 200 plus Apex Legends QA testers over Zoom.
I got a question. Were they like remote? Even I know they were at a studio, but like, were they remotely at that? You know what I mean? Like, that's
It
the
was
one
the Bat-
question I have. Like, if
It
so,
was at the Baton Rouge office.
right? So I don't know if they were like, because you could sometimes you're assigned to an office or studio, but you
Yeah.
actually don't work in the studio. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like,
I don't know how that was.
the one thing I will say to that, just because I don't know the situation, right, is if they were all remote workers, like having them all, even if they live far away, come to the office just to get laid off would suck, right?
They said they successfully trained testers based in the UK and Romania. So yeah, a lot of them would have been.
Just honestly, what other way is there? Like, I understand like laying them off period is bad, but you're not gonna fly everybody in just to get laid off.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna make them drive 3 hours just to tell them that they're don't have a job.
Well, no. Also,
no. Right?
You're not gonna do that.
With that respect, I don't know that situation. Right? It comes off really, really bad and looks horrible. Fired 200 people off of Zoom. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe call them each individually would have been a better way, and talk to them each individually. But like, I don't know. I don't know the situation.
I don't know. Nowadays it's tough. It's still big though, 200 plus.
That's a big layoff. Yeah, that sucks.
That's huge.
I feel horrible for them. I just didn't know don't know if as much was made about the Zoom thing as like it may have been because of how much remote work there is today.
Correct.
Like, if I get a remote job, I don't expect them to fly me out to fire me.
Are you really? I do. I expect a nice dinner, like take me out to a nice restaurant.
Let's have one last
wine
ride.
and dine me before you dump me, please.
Yeah.
one last go. Yeah. One last sling. Let's go.
One more night. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I was thinking when I read it. It sucks for those employees. I feel bad. Like, Apex has been a great game for a long time. It seems like maybe it's with this and stuff. Maybe it's fizzling down a little bit for them. I don't know.
Yep. Well, I think that's it, folks. I think we're gonna get out of here. Mav survived the storms. The family survived the storms, which is great.
This window was rattling like crazy.
Was it
here, bro?
Were you getting hail? Was it hail or
no?
was it just wind?
Like, there was not hail. I mean, there was some here and there, like small hail.
Yeah.
But this turned into more of like a straight line windstorm that sustained for like 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
And it was just like shaking. And usually it's just the front line of it was intense.
Yeah.
But this one like got more intense as it got into the storm. Okay. So you had that front line in there, and then it was like, okay, then that's why I was looking over there. I was like, oh shit, like, is that window gonna break? Because like, I mean, it was moving, dude.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that shit could be scary, man.
Yeah, we realized we had left a window cracked downstairs earlier.
Oh, geez.
Because, my AC situation is house right now. So I had to run down. There was like a puddle of water and stuff. Oh, so that's why I had to run downstairs real quick. Anyway, crazy storms, but they're past now.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm glad we could finish the show off, and I'm glad you guys are safe. Mav, great show. Again, everything going on this week, I think we nailed the ABK stuff. Again, not everybody's cup of tea, but this week was definitely highly interesting. Lots of good stuff coming out of that. We crushed that. We crushed a lot of things tonight, the Phil interview, etc. So thank you all for joining us. This has been a fantastic episode of PM and PM. Again, we broke over 230 people at one point, which is absolutely insane. I think when Mav and I did our first episode here, I think we hit like 40 or something like that, 50, I think, Mav, something like that. To see the growth across the network, the Fun Speculation Network, as Fuzzy calls it, is just spectacular, man. Love coming here Thursday nights with you, brother. So thank you for another great night. Thank you, chat, for being here. Mav, we got Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night where we're going to talk some more stuff. We're probably going to laugh. Fuzzy was not going to be there, but it sounds like Fuzzy may be there now. So we might have a pretty big crew tomorrow night. Should be fun as
Fuzzy's been a little spicy lately too, man.
Oh, Fuzzy's been really spicy lately. He's been kicking it up a little bit. Yeah. Again, retirement. He's got nothing better going on, right? So why not? So Mav, tell us Xbox Ultimate, what else you got coming up? What's going on, man? You had a great show today. I did not catch it. I got to go back and watch it with Boxenberger. So tell us what's going on, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, Pong. Soul tomorrow night, Xbox Ultimate, the show that started it for our channel here on Fun Speculation. Every Friday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. But yeah, we'll have some fun. We'll talk maybe about some Halo Infinite Season 3. That might be a little bit what we talk about, plus some other fun stuff. We'll get into some more of the nonsense that's been going around here. Xbox Ultimate, we go left, we go right, we go sideways, up and down, we go crazy, and it becomes a fun family conversation with our huge panel there. And it's always a blast. So, man, Us and the pundits will have fun tomorrow.
We shall.
And then Monday, FSP Fun Speculation Podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern as well. Check out great panel, and we have a blast on there. We look on that show. We look ahead at the games come for the week as well on a segment, and then
Tidbits.
game streams and more here, guys. We try and do as much as we can, cover as much as we can. And if I feel extra feisty, you may get a solo impromptu stream, like the other night, which I ran. It felt like a 2-hour rant. It really did. But
You're good at those.
am I good at those? It becomes
Yeah,
it's
you are.
fun. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just get stuff off your chest. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But besides that, hey, Pong Soul, the man of many podcasts, the
Yeah.
best host on this channel as well. Where can everybody find
But
you?
anyways, thank you. Absolutely. Real quick too, folks. If you guys were looking for a new city builder, Anno 1800 is coming out on the 15th from Ubisoft. It's been over on the PC for years. They're bringing that version over here. I just wanted to let you guys all know it's gonna be free for like the first week everywhere. They're gonna let everybody download it and play it, and your progress will carry over. It's the full game. So if you're looking for a new city builder, I think Mav is thinking about jumping into it. I am picking it up for sure, 100%. It will be free to everybody. So that's Anno 1800. I think it drops on the 15th. So be aware of that. Otherwise, great show tonight. Again, chat, you guys are all absolutely freaking amazing. Lots of great conversation in there tonight. Again, the fact that we're seeing so many people pop in here, I hope it's because you're all enjoying the conversation that Mav and I are having. Again, if comments do come up, we try to bring them into the conversation as well. But just you guys alone. Again, that's where I started out before I ever started podcasting. I was in chats all the time doing the same thing. Just really, really, really intelligent conversation going on in there. Glad that that's the kind of community that we are cultivating here at Fun Speculation.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being here. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't realize before you get to all your outro stuff. I did miss one super chat.
Yeah.
From Top Fever with a $5 super chat.
Ooh,
Appreciate you, Top Fever.
T-Pop Fever.
T-Pop. Oh, sorry. T-Pop Fever. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad, T-Pop Fever with the $5 super chat. Says Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox and PC makes sense due to Xbox sales and Game Pass subs going to increase due to games like Starfield coming out this year. Square is dumb.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically.
we agree with you.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
100%.
Great point, T-Pop.
Yep. You got Ramadan and you got Randy G. Did you get Randy G?
Yeah, we got that one.
Oh, okay, all right, perfect. So yeah, no, anyways, folks, again, whether you listen to it live or whether you're catching this in the future sometime and you're listening to us talk about this stuff, we appreciate you all the same. Again, nothing but love and respect for coming out here and doing this. Again, without an audience, we're nobody. Except for two gamers talking on Xbox Live, as I always like to say. That's where we started. That's how Mav and I got to know each other, and turned into all this. So thank you all for being here. Nothing but love for all of you. But I will be over on Xbox Ultimate tomorrow night, as well as Mav said. Going to be a great show. We're going to laugh, but we're also going to talk a lot of gaming news. I try to let other people speak during Xbox Ultimate since Mav and I do this show tonight. It doesn't always happen that way because sometimes my thoughts and feelings change. Maybe we'll get Starfield news surprise tomorrow, which I'll have a lot to talk about as well if that happens. But join us for Xbox Ultimate. It is a great time to hear other people's opinions. It really is. We got a great crew. And then, of course, Saturday morning, it's another two-man show just like this, Living Split Screen. If you're here and you haven't checked out myself and my brother from another Steel Rain on Saturday mornings, please drop on in there. We start your weekend the right way. Lots of energy, tons of energy. Steel comes with it. He doesn't do a whole lot of shows. Sometimes he's on Boom shows, but he gets a lot of his talking out Saturday morning, 3+ hours. We usually go 4. So Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word. We start at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Be there. It is a great way to get the weekend going. Trust me. We have a good time. Me and Steel, we catch up just like Mav and I do here, and it's fun. We do some rants. We get on some rants for sure over there. So be there. And then Saturday night, it's the Shop Podcast PTK Blam's channel. He's been in this game for like 6 years now. Listen, I don't know why we don't have a bigger live audience on Saturday nights. Again, Saturday night. But again, it's the perfect show to have us on in the background. We always, well, not always, but most of the time we will have a guest on as well. But please join us there. PTK Blam's channel, the Shop Podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Best way to end your Saturday night. Chill podcast. PTK gives a topic and then lets me and Fuzzy also present the topic, a different way to do things. But we have fun there. So be there as well. And then, of course, next week it starts all over again. Tuesdays, whether I'm there or not, it's Xbox Factor Podcast. All good things green every Tuesday afternoon. And, of course, it's Double Barrel Gaming. You got to know that. It's Mr. Boomstick. I mean, the guy's on constantly. But this Tuesday show, Xbox Factor, is extra special. So be there, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time every Tuesday. And then, of course, God willing, be back here. Oh, I forgot, man. I got an extra show tomorrow.
Oh,
I totally forgot. Yeah, I totally freaking forgot that I have an extra show tomorrow. So you have to pop on over. I'm going to be hanging out with some more Aussies. Right. So I'm going to be hanging out with some more Aussies tomorrow afternoon. And you want to check it out. I don't know the times for sure because their times are so weird over there, but I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern, but it's the Gamers Initiative podcast. So it's with an elite gaming guru, although he's not going to be there tomorrow. So actually, Red, what she go by? Red Panda. I always call her Red Panda, but it's Red Dead Panda. Red Dead Panda. She's going to be hosting the show tomorrow. Ashtray Gaming is another panel member there as well. And it's going to be myself and J-Rock. The one and only J-Rock is going to be there. Yeah. So it's going to be a fun ass show. Yeah, it's going to be a real good show. And again, I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Central Time, I believe. But watch out for my post. I'll post it tomorrow as soon as I got times down and make sure everybody's aware. But that's going to be a great show because the Aussies always come with a little edge. They all do. Every single Aussie I've met in this community has a little edge to them. I love them all. But that's going to be a great show. Again, I haven't had a chance to podcast with J-Rock yet, so this is going to be a fun time tomorrow afternoon. So be there. Otherwise, folks, it's the golden age of gaming. It really is. So play what you love what you play, get out there, enjoy it, have a great Friday, a fantastic weekend, whatever you're doing. And I'll talk to you all real soon. Mav, get us out of here.
Hey, bye everybody. Thank you again. Have a good one.